Punching Up, a Nintendo podcast, is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia.
Aloha, everybody. This is Gene Park, now host of Punching Up for this week, because our good friend Dustin Furman, producer of Last Time Media, executive producer of Last Time Media, I didn't mean to demote him, is currently in Japan, living his dreams. I really haven't been paying attention to what his travels have been like. I know he went to like a cat cafe, and which is, very, very, very much a thing to do in Japan. I'm not really sure, but we're here recording on a Sunday, a little bit early, and a lot to talk about because that Nintendo Direct last week was nice and meaty and chunky. But before we get to that, I want to introduce my esteemed co-hosts. We're going to start with Ms. Micah Watson. Ms. only for a few more weeks, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The wedding is coming right up. It's one of those things that I keep I'm trying not to get nervous about it. But Colin had mentioned that he's noticing our neighbors are putting out their Halloween decorations.
No.
And he's like, Halloween is after the wedding. That's how close this
Yes.
is. That he's like, they got their, and not to say that they shouldn't put the decorations out until the week of, but just to say it's here. It actually is, finally approaching. So yeah, we're trying to keep our cool, but we are slowly losing our minds a little bit. I'm getting more and more antsy, as the day gets closer.
Yeah, it's coming out. Your wedding is like 11 days after Alan Wake 2.
Yeah.
So Colin has what 3 days or whatever. I don't know. I don't know how long you guys are
between
prepping for the wedding.
that and Spider-Man 2 also comes out right around then, right? So he's gonna have some priorities.
Yeah, he's gonna have to grind through those first before anything else. Yeah, and then we got his elder brother, Mr. Dagan Moriarty. Mr. Dagan, how are you this morning?
Yo, it's so good to see you guys. And listen, not that Colin cares, but Wonder, 8 days prior to the wedding, right? That's October 20th.
Yes.
So I don't know.
Michael
We
would
might
be
be
busy
too
too.
busy with games to come down to make the big event.
Yeah.
No offense.
But I'll be there too.
Yeah,
And
it's gonna be
really,
so
really
good.
looking forward to meeting you all. Hopefully, I'm sure Dustin and Chris are coming too, right?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
everybody's
absolutely.
coming, right?
No, we're going to have a great gang. I've actually been getting more RSVPs, the past couple days. And it's just been awesome, to kind of see the list start to grow, because you're always kind of nervous. You're inviting all these people and you're like, what if none of them show up? Or there's a statistic. It's something like, I don't know, it's something like 50% of the people you invite end up actually showing up. It actually is way lower than people expect.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're kidding me, right? So, we already started with maybe 150 people. And I thought, wow, if we only get half of those people, that's going to be kind of a problem. But no, it's been good. Have a good turnout. Hopefully people who RSVP'd actually do show up, though. That would be the real problem. The real problem will be we have a buffet set for 100 people and we only end up with 30, but
Oh, Colin.
Yeah, no, it'll be all right. I wonder what the percentage is that RSVP and the positive actually come. I bet it's super high. I bet it's over 95%. Right? You would think.
You would think. It's
Right?
it's good etiquette to show up to an event like that, with that much prep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I've never RSVP'd for a wedding and not showed up. Well, my sister's, but I was sick, so that was just last year.
But listen, I'm glad we're talking about this and not Dustin in Japan, because I'm super resentful that Dustin's there and I'm not. So I don't want to talk about Dustin. Yeah. This is a coup. Maybe we'll let him back. Maybe we won't. And we got the Ninja. You read your favorite comic books, let's say Ninja Turtles, right? What's going to happen? You're down a turtle. Ninja Turtles have to go in. They have to fight the Foot. They don't have. I hate calling Dustin Leo, but all right, we're down Leo. How's it going to go? This is to me, this is exciting. And I don't
Dustin
know. I'm going to say I don't think we need him back. I don't know.
Yeah, we might.
I don't know.
We may not need him. I was a little nervous about doing this, but so far so
Don't
good.
tell him I said that.
I'm going to continue the LSM tradition of commenting on Dagan's shirt. Dagan, I really enjoy your Bowie shirt.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very
I'm a huge David Bowie fan, and I'm still convinced that everything wrong with the world today started happening because he died.
I love that theory.
Right?
I think that's it's
exactly when things started to go to shit, right?
I can't believe he died. Colin and I talked about that. It's like certain people that are like the warlocks, right? I think of Ozzy. I think of Prince, who we also lost. I think of Bowie. It's like they're immortal. They're not supposed. What if they could die? Is there any hope?
Bowie and Prince. That was a 2-shotter, and it's like, okay, we're not making through this. We're not making through this very very well. So. One thing I loved about Bowie is that he was really, really afraid of flying. So every time he would do a tour in the United States, he would just get on a ship.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he would just never fly. Wow. And I appreciate that because I have recently developed a fear of flying. I was never scared of flying. I've been flying since I was like 13, 14 years old. So it's always been easy for me. But when I've gotten older, I've started to really dislike flying. I don't know why. I have a lot of anxiety over it. I started to feel like we don't belong here as humans up here. What are we doing?
No, that's what I feel. I've had like a lifelong fear of flying. I still do. Like I still and I don't let it hold me back too much, right? I still get on the plane, I do all the things. But I do just have this feeling like we're not supposed to be in this, aluminum tube shuttling through the air. I especially hate it on like JetBlue flights. They have the little map that appears on the screen. It says how fast you're going, and I'm like, we shouldn't be going this fast, And I know it's safe. Like I don't need 100 comments telling me it's perfectly safe. Like I know, but it's still just that thing of like the human body. We're not supposed to be doing this. I think we all know that. I think everyone knows that we're not supposed to be doing this. We figured it out, but it doesn't feel natural by any means.
Yeah. Take away the wrapping, and you're just a row of people sitting in the sky.
Exactly.
Very strange.
That's so bizarre.
To ancient people, we would be like gods, just flying through the air,
Absolutely.
And yeah, it just and yes, you're absolutely right, Mike. We don't need a bunch of comments telling us that it's super safe. Obviously, it is. Obviously, I've flown. I don't know how many times in my life, but it's always gone without a hitch. But I do take meds every time I fly, and I haven't flown since before the pandemic. And I'm eager to do so this week, or not this week, this year, to hopefully make it to the Game Awards in LA. It's been so long since I've been to LA, and I can see Chris there maybe too.
Yeah, that's
hang
cool.
Out with all his cool friends. But I do take like anti-anxiety meds before I get on a flight, and I found that actually helps because it just.
I don't blame you. Does it help?
It does help. Like even when turbulence happens, I'm just like, okay, well, this is happening.
Okay.
I still like grip my seat, and I still get worried a bit, but like that's like normal.
Me too. Yes, absolutely. You do the look around to see, and there's always like the people that are also looking around, but then the stoic people who fly like weekly. So I always look for them.
Yes, yes.
I always look for that one rock.
Yes, the rock, the foundation of people who are just traveling all the time, and this is just like whatever to them, and I'm just like, okay,
exactly. If the flight attendant's nervous, then worried.
That's when I start to worry.
Yeah, because that happened to me. It was probably last year when I went to Buffalo, and we hit some really bad turbulence, and most people seem pretty cool about it, but I heard the flight attendant say that was pretty bad.
Oh no!
And I was just like, you shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have said that. I didn't want to know that in your professional opinion, that was bad. And then the rest of the flight, I was just like panicked, wondering what else was going to happen. Like if it was going to get worse. Cause I was like, she said it was bad and she would know.
Yeah.
That's not good.
I've never heard that before. That's awful. I would hope that she was like new at this and she wasn't like, because you would think that I don't, of all the types of people I know, I know a lot of flight attendants, but I don't really know a lot about their jobs. I don't know if they're trained to just not say shit like that,
Yeah, bedside manner.
They're supposed to be.
You got to keep calm. Like it's you have to keep that place calm. You're in charge of like my mom was a flight attendant, and I could see her being very stoic in that situation because she was like that when we got hurt as kids. It's like fall down, skin your knee. She was very comforting. She was a natural at that.
Betty Ann was a flight attendant.
She was.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to meeting her
for
too.
many years. Yeah, she was into it. She was and then she got promoted through the ranks and was a trainer at the, one of the, I guess, who was the airline at the time? US Air, Business Express, maybe. She was like a trainer. So she was at, the base camp training flight attendants and stuff. Yeah, she was into it. She only flew nationally, though. She wasn't an international. She didn't fly. And in fact, I think she was like business class, like Northeast. Like maybe she went as far as Atlanta, as far north as Southern Maine or something like that. So sort of a commuter. She made commuter trips and stuff.
I'm glad you brought that up, Dagan, because now that I think about it, I think my fear of flying happened when I moved to DC. And when I fly now, I see land under me, and that freaks me out because I'm from the Pacific and I've always flown over water. I've flown to Korea and Japan many times, so many times, once a year. I used to do that, right?
Wow.
So people always say, "Oh, have you ever been to Europe?" I've never been to Europe, but I always shoot back and say, "Have you ever been to Asia?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "Okay, well, I've been to Asia many times." So it's a different world, the other half of the world, But yeah, I think it's because I see land underneath me, and that freaks me out. Because if we land, that's it.
That is true.
Oh, see, the water scares me more because I'm not a very good swimmer. So for me, I'm like, just take me out. If we're going to hit a field of corn and that's it. But if we hit the water, you're only postponing my demise because I'm probably going to drown. The seat cushion that's supposed to float probably just going to sink like a stone right with me. So I'd rather just fly over land and get it over with.
Yeah. See, I totally see that, and I totally get that. I understand that water would also be fearful because you're just in the middle of nowhere in the water,
Yeah.
Like at least you're not like the Ocean Gate guys that were like underneath the ocean, and like at least like if people flew over the ocean, they might be able to see you. So that's nice. But that still depends on people making sure that they fly over the right part of the ocean, which is a very, very tiny part of the ocean.
It all looks the same.
Yeah, it all looks the same. And you're just going to find like a bunch of people, and then like the plane is probably going to sing like in BioShock,
Yeah.
So yeah, but I've always been mentally prepared to like slide down a little like balloon slide or whatever, and then like hang out on the raft. Like I feel like I've always been mentally prepared for that life. It wasn't until I watched the show Lost that I started to thinking about, okay, what if we hit a deserted island? That would suck. You'd have no games. That's why that there's that question about what game would you bring on a deserted island?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah.
Very important.
But let's we got a ton of questions yesterday.
Nice.
That was really exciting. So let's get into a little some more general stuff before we get into the Nintendo Direct news, which was really the only news I think we can talk about, other than more rumors of the Switch 2. But what more can we say about that? I don't know. We'll get into that a little bit. But let's start off with a question here from Necrom Oddboy. Wahoo, you wild bunch. So, with the reveal of the iPhone 15 Pro and its new A17 chip, many games like Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding and Ubisoft's upcoming Assassin's Creed Mirage. I love how professional some of these comments sound. They're very they're very explanatory. It's like they're thinking about our audience, or they're thinking that they are going to be read on a podcast, and that's really cool. So shout out to you guys for putting in that effort. Assassin's Creed Mirage will be hitting phones with an alleged finesse. See what I talk about? What is that? And near Steam Deck level quality. With mobile further pushing to take on the handheld space, would a new Nintendo console be best to stay in the hands of gamers, or should you look at other gimmicks to pursue? We have tap screens, waggled out, and taking gaming on the go. But what would you like to see differently in the next generation? Thanks. Thanks, Brent, or Necrom Oddboy. I was thinking a lot about that, because it's not something I talk about like publicly because it's so basic, but I'm a huge like Apple stan. Not a lot of people know about me, but I love Apple products. I'm like all in the Apple ecosystem. I have a MacBook. I have 2 iPads. I'm gonna get the new iPhone 15, just a regular iPhone 15. I don't need a Pro. But I don't really use it that much as a gaming device. Sometimes I do when there is a game that I know is gonna capture me. There was a Fantasian by Final Fantasy creator Hironobu Sakaguchi that was exclusive to Apple Arcade, and Apple Arcade is actually a pretty good deal. But lately, I haven't been playing much mobile. But what do you guys think about this? for me, I think Nintendo has made it so that the mobile market has a dedicated handheld system, because PlayStation gave up on that. Xbox is not doing it at all, and Nintendo is the only one that's filling that space, other than Steam Deck, I guess. And Micah, I watched your mailbag yesterday of people highly recommending the Steam Deck, and I would join in that chorus, because I think if you like a AAA gaming, I think the Steam Deck will be good, especially if you want to play at least like PS4 quality games. But yeah, what do you guys think? Micah, I'll start with you.
Yeah. So what I find interesting about what the listener said, they mentioned some of the old, Nintendo gimmicks that we've had in the past, like, motion controls and things like that. What I feel though is that the Switch honestly is just their best thing yet. And that we don't need another gimmick, because what happened for me with like the Wii, for example, was it was really fun at first, but eventually you get sick of it. And eventually you say, I wish this game didn't have motion controls. Like that's what happened to me of towards the end of the Wii's life. I would just say like, I wish this was just a regular game with no motion controls. I don't want to do this. I don't want to have all this space in my living room. Like I just want to play a regular game. With the Switch, I don't think anyone has said, I wish this device was only on the TV, or I wish it was only handheld, because they have the Switch Lite for that. But I don't think anyone's gotten sick of, the gimmick of the hybrid console. I honestly feel like it's just the perfect idea that I can play on the TV, I can pop it out of the dock and play handheld. So I don't need any new gimmicks from them. Because, same like the Wii U, they really forced you to use the gamepad for things. And it's like, it was cool at first. And then I got to the point where it's like, I don't want to play this on this little screen. I just want to play it on the TV. I don't, even like really cool games like, Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker. There were times when I was just like, I just don't like this, So I don't think they need a new gimmick. I don't want a new gimmick from them, honestly. I think the Switch is the perfect idea. And I just want them to make it more powerful, improve the load times, improve the graphics, but I honestly don't need anything otherwise. I think it's just a great device.
You bring up two great points. One about the Wii and how people got tired of it. I was tired of motion control from day one when I bought it for Twilight Princess. And I was like, I can't believe I can't control the camera around. I can't spin the camera around. There was no way to play that Zelda game on the Wii.
That's right.
By spinning the camera. And then I bought the GameCube version. And then it was completely mirrored, because in the Wii, Link was right-handed, because the Wii is assuming that everyone's going to be playing the game right-handed, and then so it was meant to reflect, what most people might play the Wii as. Shout out to people who are left-handed, but in the GameCube it was mirrored, and Link was still left-handed, but then you could spin the camera around. And when I finally played it there, that's when I started to actually like Twilight Princess. And I was like, I think my biggest problem was the motion controls. And yeah, sure enough, like so many people got sick of it. They lost Colin,
Yes. Well, and you look at games like Skyward Sword, where that was the one that had like the Wii Motion Plus adapter. And it's like, and it still didn't work great. You needed that to make the game playable, and it still didn't work very well. How many people just gave up on Skyward Sword because the motion controls ruined the whole game?
Me, I gave up on. So here's my story on Skyward Sword. I played through the whole freaking game, and I finished it, and I got to the final boss, which is Demise, and I couldn't beat him. I took a couple hours, and I was like, you know what? I'm tired of this game. I don't even want to try to beat him.
Wow.
And I just went up on YouTube and I looked up the ending, and that was it. So I really, really hated the game. And then I bought Skyward Sword HD for the Nintendo Switch, where they have non-motion controls, and you kind of have to hold RB to spin the camera around. But that was fine enough for me. I loved Skyward Sword after that. I loved it. Like I was all of the puzzle design and the adventure, the pacing is still pretty off, but otherwise, like the puzzle design and the dungeon design, all was just so much more fun, So I really do think that the motion control for the Wii just killed it for so many people, even though it was the best-selling console of that generation.
Right. A lot of nursing homes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, nursing homes.
They isolated the hardcore gamers, right?
Yeah, I mean, Wii Sports is still great, and you wouldn't want to play Wii Sports without motion controls. That's the thing, But there weren't a lot of games like that. Yeah, and then too, you mentioned about how no one's tired of the hybrid thing. You're right. That's not a controversy. No one's saying we don't need this for the console. Everybody is saying that we need this for the next console. They landed on a gimmick that works, and to go back to that comparison of the Steam Deck and the Switch, you can play the Steam Deck on your TV. You have to buy a separate little dock for it, right? But there is a little bit more ritual to making sure that everything works on a TV. You know, you got to adjust the resolution. You got to turn on Bluetooth and connect your whatever controller you're getting on, and then there's still some latency in between the Bluetooth and everything. Whereas the Switch, you just pop it right in, and then that's it. There's no fuss. That's what Nintendo does really well. You know, Nintendo is a little bit like Apple in that way, and that Apple's phones are just really, really user friendly. They're just a lot easier to use. You don't have to think about it, you know, and that's what Nintendo kind of did too. But Dagan, what do you think? Are you an iPhone user?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I have a lot of thoughts on this. I mean, first of all, the iPhone, I can't even believe the degree it's gotten to. I've been really impressed with like the last 4 or 5 generations of the iPhone. I just can't believe where it's landed now. It's pretty phenomenal. If you think about, you know, we've been talking about smartphones, computers in our pockets for the last 15 years, but now it's like, you know, I got a MacBook Pro in my pocket. It's crazy, you know. It's so interesting with Nintendo too. It's kind of fun to be in this stage of we're all guessing and conjecturing about the next generation. I think, if I'm not mistaken, right, whether it was a few directs ago or if it was just a press conference, but some of the Nintendo muckety mucks were pretty much walking back the talk of new gimmicks and basically kind of doubling down on, we just want to go in with great hardware, great software. But we know, I mean, a lot of us know, I mean, I guess a lot of us that are more in the know guess that this next generation of hardware will be sort of a hybrid thing. But I think a lot of people are saying, what's going to be the new gimmick on top of that? And Nintendo's kind of always playing the role of, well, everybody slow your roll. Like, it's not about that. It reminds me of what Pixar does every time they put out a movie. It's like, all right, this time we're kind of generating a thing with water, you know, doing really nice water physics or monster fur. And there always is something new with the software capabilities and what the technology is able to do now. But Pixar always walks it back, you know, and says it's about the story. It's about the characters. It's not about that, but it's always there. So I think Nintendo just has this philosophy of not wanting to put that at the forefront, but I'm guessing there will be some kind of new gimmick, however small or large it's going to be. But I do think that they do, if they're going to continue this trend of having hardware for many years, and I hope that the next one, we kind of all root for a quicker turnaround. Maybe 4 or 5 years is kind of a nice wheelhouse to be in. But if they're going to go 7-8 years with hardware generation, let's do something. I don't mind doing something a little higher priced. Like, let's go outside the $300 price point, raise it to $400, go ultra 4K, whatever you have to do to at least be relevant at the time of release, because then the evolution is going to run away with you anyway. That's just the way technology works. So really come in hard with something that's relevant at least at the time of the release of the new hardware. And, you know, again, Ultra 4K, if that means $100 added to the price point, that's okay. For me, that's okay. I know that's kind of a hard thing to say. I don't want to pay more money either, but it makes sense to do something a little more savvy on the technology side, and then really kind of stick to the philosophy of, let's make software that counts, you know, which is what Nintendo does best.
I don't know if you heard the rumors, Dagan, or the reports from Eurogamer and VGC, Video Game Chronicle, but they're both reporting that the next Switch console does seem pretty capable. Not only a PS4 graphics, but possibly PS5, you know, because they were talking about how having the Unreal Engine 5 Matrix demo. Okay. I don't know if either of you have seen that Matrix demo.
No.
It's you should try it. It's free. I don't know if it's downloadable, but you can probably just watch it on YouTube. But it's a very, very, very impressive demo, and for now, that's still the milestone of like engine graphics that people are still chasing, and the fact that, or the possibility that it might be running on the next Switch console is very impressive. So I think we can expect that the next console, if all that aligns, I think we can expect that the next console will be,
that's big,
you know, much more expensive, and that'll be impressive, you know. And then there are the reports of Zelda Breath of the Wild running in 4K 60 frames per second, which is pretty exciting. And not to say that they were very careful to say that this doesn't suggest that there's a new version of Breath of the Wild coming. But of course, this Nintendo, why wouldn't they release? It'd be cool to release a double pack of Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild in 4K 60, and then just have that as $60, $70. That would be cool.
That would be amazing.
I think that'd be a great deal.
Yeah, definitely. That's fair.
Yeah, it would be fair. And that kind of leads into the next question from Brent Lindquist. Hey, everyone. We now have confirmation that Tears of the Kingdom won't be getting any post-launch DLC, and I have a deep double standard in my heart of hearts. I feel that. On the one hand, I find myself praising developers and publishers when they declare the games complete prior to any major story DLC, God of War Ragnarok, and formerly FF16, for example, Final Fantasy 16, for example. But is this so bad to want more Zelda? Thanks for the show. I know neither of you guys have played Tears of the Kingdom, so chime in if you like. But for me, I share your sentiment, Brent. I think there was a lot in the story. I gave Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom a perfect score, but story was not a strong point, and I understand that for people who are really, really invested in story in video games, that's just not going to be Zelda's just not their franchise. But there was a lot in the story that was just like left wide and open. All of the machines from Breath of the Wild are just gone in Tears of the Kingdom with no explanation, and they were just like all over the world in Breath of the Wild. And where did they go? And there's just a lot of other questions left in Tears of the Kingdom. And the Breath of the Wild DLC was pretty good too, but I'm wondering maybe they just felt like they just couldn't add any more. And it's funny that they clarified that now, because it didn't seem like it when I spoke to Eiji Aonuma earlier. They were kind of hinting that maybe they might be doing something. So it feels like that this was a recent decision where they were like, you know what, I think we're good. I think that was it. And also I think that's a good hint that the Switch 2 is coming. Because why would you spend all this money and time and development to create a new adventure in Tears of the Kingdom for the old console, right? And we'll get more into that too, because there's more hints of the Switch 2 coming in the Switch Direct. But yeah, what do you guys think about Tears of the Kingdom?
Well, just for getting more DLC, I just want to say I understand your sentiment completely, because there are some games that I complete the game and I just say, I don't want any more of this. And not to say it was a bad experience, but like Xenoblade Chronicles, playing that, and I was really happy with the game. I thought it was amazing. I forgot that there was DLC. And then when I went back to the title screen and saw it, I almost was upset, because I was like, I was done with this experience. Now I feel like I have to play it. I played it for maybe an hour and I just said, I think I'm just done with this.
You know what?
But there are certainly games where I do want more. Like Borderlands is a series where they put out DLC and I'll almost always play it. But depending on like if it's a huge story game, sometimes I really am just like, I just like that feeling that I was done with this. It took me 80 hours and that was enough. But I certainly understand that there are times when 80 hours isn't enough. And you do just want more and more of whatever your favorite game is.
I totally feel you about Xenoblade, man. I still haven't played that DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 1, and Xenoblade Chronicles 1 is one of my favorite games of all time. But
yeah,
I also played it for an hour, and I was like, you know what? I'm still just not in the mood for this right now, And I know that the story isn't like that substantial that I need to do it. So yeah, I've just left all the DLC. The Xenoblade Chronicles 3 DLC I needed to finish, because that was huge, because that connected so much. It's called Future Connected after all. But oh no, it was called Future Redeemed. I think the part 1 was called Future Connected. So
I think that is the one. Yeah.
But I totally feel you. Everyone's waiting for Elden Ring DLC to drop. And I don't think either of you guys played it, but you guys know how big Elden Ring is, obviously.
Yes.
And after I finished it, I was like, you know what? I want to throw up at the thought of Elden Ring 2. Like, I don't want Elden Ring 2 right now. I don't want it in the next few years. So I'm excited for the DLC, and I really, I think it's been long enough. It's been over a year now since we played Elden Ring, and everyone's like, where is it? I was like, you know what? I think they can take their time on this, because I still feel full from Elden Ring. I don't know if I can take much more. So I don't know, Dagan, what do you think? After you
Yeah,
finish
I
Halo
mean,
3, where you're like, I need more DLC. Well, you still got 5 more Halo games to go.
yeah,
I really
that's
enjoyed
true.
I really enjoyed your knockback, anyways. But yeah,
The backlog is not getting any smaller. But
yeah,
my heart goes out to Zelda fans, to Tears fans, because I understand that you want more. For me, selfishly, I like this because it gives me the feeling that I could catch up, which is kind of a, nice, again, selfishly. But also, there's something you could put a salve over this wound by just saying, like, look, just hinting very vaguely, could be far into the distance, but say, look, the Zelda team's hard at work on something else.
yeah,
Look for something the first couple of years of the next console. You don't have to be too specific,
yeah.
but that's a good way to do it too. And listen, in this era of developers releasing games 80% done, you got to give a nod to the kind of classiness of saying, like, this game was released
Mm-hmm.
full. You don't need anything else. It's a complete work. We stand behind it, and one and
Complete and
done. And
comprehensive. Right.
it's there's something so elegant
Mm-hmm.
about that, especially in this era where everything's kind of just hurry to market.
Mm-hmm.
And read into it too. Maybe this does mean that they're off to the races on a new thing, and maybe it won't be 6 years between Zelda games,
Maybe.
which is really exciting.
Anum also told me that there were a lot of ideas for Tears of the Kingdom that they couldn't implement, and I was like, "What ideas are though?" And he's like, "I can't tell you." So, because they're going to be working, they're going to be putting that in the next game, because a lot of the ideas for Tears of the Kingdom were stuff that they couldn't put into Breath of the Wild. So
that makes sense.
The beat goes on. The beat goes on, my friends. Here's a fun and quick question from Petri Sismiju, and I deeply apologize for definitely mispronouncing your name. I'm sure I did. But Petri here says, "Hello, crew. I need the panel's help on this one. What 2D Mario game that I can play on the Switch is the best one to start with? I only played the original SMB what seems like a lifetime ago, and I want to experience the magic of 2D Mario games. I'm an avid gamer, PC and console, so anything but new at gaming in general. I'm just a Nintendo newbie, if you will. Welcome, Petri. So punch me in the right direction, please. I like that. Pardon the pun. You are very pardoned. Punch me in the right direction. I like that. I keep thinking about how punching up could just be called punch up.
It just works just
right?
as good, right?
It's just
Two
snappier,
syllables.
and you can just shorten it to pup. We're just pup cast, right? But yeah, I think that's a great question, and I have a ready-made answer. Super Mario World. I think Super Mario World is the zenith, the peak of 2D Mario that still hasn't been beaten. It's so accessible. It has so many great ideas that people they're still using today. I think Super Mario World is still the greatest, and there's a huge argument for Super Mario Bros. 3 as well. There wouldn't be Super Mario World without Super Mario Bros. 3. Super Mario Bros. 3 was a big stepping stone, but I really feel like World is the best compromise, or meet up between the old design and what would become the future of Mario, and what is still the future of Mario. So what do you guys think? Dagan, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard.
You have a long history with Mario anyways too. So.
Oh my God, it dates all the way back. To the arcades, my friend, many moons ago. But Super Mario World, I mean, it's hard not to recommend that one. That really is the epitome of 2D Mario. Mm-hmm. A lot of people still consider it the best Mario game, period. I could say if you're ready to make the jump to 16-bit, that's a great direction to go. The only thing is moving backwards into 3 may feel weird. But Super Mario 3, I would say next if you want to stay in the 8-bit realm. And if you want something different that feels a lot different than what you've played already in the first Super Mario game, then I would say Super Mario 2, which is still my favorite. But again, just keep in mind it is very different. It's really an anomaly in the franchise.
Yeah, Super Mario 3 is the real sequel to Super Mario 1, really. Super Mario 2 was like a spin-off that they just 100%. Called 2.
Well said.
Completely different. I loved it. I cherish 2 so much.
It's so fun.
The characters are so good. If you want a good taste, just a splash of personality and color, then 2 is fantastic. I mean, they're all fantastic. What are we talking about? Micah, what do you think? Oh, you're not a Mario player though. That's right.
No, yeah, I have to default to you guys on this one because I'm just trash at all of these equally. For me, all these games are
Have you played Mario
frustrating,
World?
and I'm just not good at any of these
World
platformers.
World
Like
World is
every one that
easy.
I've
World is easy.
it is it
It is
really?
easy.
Is
It's
it?
Yeah.
very easy
I've,
and very short. That's why I say it's so accessible, because
Mhm.
Mario 1 is tough. Mario 3 can be tough too, especially the final
Oh,
world.
definitely.
But World doesn't really plateau. Like it doesn't really like rise and challenge. It's pretty smooth all throughout, and it's a very smooth ride. It just kind of goes up, and I've never felt frustrated at all at World, and I've been frustrated every other 2D Mario game, because I know I totally get what you're saying, Micah. That Mario games are hard. They're hard.
Yeah, because like my level of expertise with platformers is I really love the Kirby games. Those are just easier in my opinion. They'll have a couple of like difficult, like challenging moments, but Kirby games typically my speed. I can handle those. Along with like your Yoshi's Crafted World, Yoshi's Woolly World. Those are games I can handle. And then Mario games, just in my experience, have always been way too
See,
difficult. Like I was talking to our niece because she's playing Mario Odyssey and she's stuck on a certain
it's
part,
tough.
and I was like, I can't
Yeah,
help you with that.
yeah.
You know, I was like, ask your uncle, but like, I can't help you get past because she's like, I'm stuck at this part, and I'm like, no, that's farther than I got, so I can't help you with that, kiddo. You got to ask Uncle Colin.
So that's why, like you mentioned Yoshi and Kirby, Super Mario World is the closest thing to Kirby and Yoshi, and I would argue that Kirby and Yoshi were inspired by Super Mario World and that design.
Yeah.
And I've never heard of anyone get stuck in Super Mario World. I've been stuck in Mario 64. I've been stuck in Mario Odyssey. I've been stuck in Mario Galaxy. I've heard about so many people getting stuck in every single Mario game, especially Super Mario Sunshine, which is probably the most difficult out of them all. It's just almost impossible to like get 100% on that one, you know. But Mario World is the one where it's like, you know what, it's easy, it's breezy, it's fun, it's very relaxing. So
it is.
Yeah.
I feel like they were buffering the difficulty coming off of 3, and also 3 was pretty lengthy without being able to continue. That's the key, Micah. You could continue in Super Mario World.
Yes,
come back to it.
It has a save
Even if you
system.
get stuck, come back to it. There's checkpoints. You get to go to a certain degree to get to go on your own. You know, there's a map screen, so you get to kind of choose your order and choose your battle plan. It's fun. And Yoshi.
Yeah. Because there's Yoshi, so there's like different layers of getting hit. So even if you get hit, it's fine. You lose Yoshi, you get smaller, and then there's a lot of power ups. A lot of the power ups are very powerful that let you fly over like Kirby. And here's the thing: Kirby games aren't hard until you get to the hard parts. You know, there's always the end game part in Kirby where they lock the real ending behind Kirby and like the real dark stuff, like it's like Elden Ring, Dark Souls type story behind that, and it's really really hard. You know, like Kirby and the Forgotten Land is harder than Final Fantasy 16. You know, at Final Fantasy 16 at the hardest difficulty. You know, but Super Mario World does the same thing, where it's pretty easy throughout the whole game, and then there's the Star World, and that's where the really really hard stuff happens. And they used to put that hard, they used to sprinkle that hard stuff all over their regular game, but in Super Mario World they decided to pack it in at the end. So if you want the challenge, it's there, and if you want like the real ending, then it's there. You know. But you still save the princess in the easy mode part, you know.
Oh, it's so fun. That last fight in that game is so fun. And you get power ups in reserve. There's a lot there
That's right. You have power ups in reserve. That's right. If you get hit, you can just press select and bloop, another flower will come down, and you're ready to go again. You know,
you're ready, Micah. This is your way in.
I'll try
feel
it.
good about it.
All right, we'll report back next episode. I will try this.
I'm excited. Oh my god, we got Micah into Mario.
This is awesome.
Petrie, thanks so much. I'm so glad that you asked that. So, and I hope to help too, Petrie. Our next question is from Patches. Hey, Weebos. I like that. Gene, if you are indeed, this is a more question for me. Indeed, and if you are indeed the host of this episode, and I am indeed, you are going to like this one. In honor of one of the greatest gaming podcasts, Castle Super Beasts, I wanted to bring over a bit from the show. Is it a hustle or a scam? Nintendo releasing older, highly valued games, but only for a limited time on the Switch, like Super Mario Sunshine, 64, and Galaxy. Thank you, crew, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Since this one's for me, and shout out to Castle Super Beasts, my boys Pat and Wooly. If there's any other podcast crew I'm most associated with, it's them. And they used to be a little history about them. They used to be a huge YouTube channel called the Super Best Friends Play.
Oh,
and,
right.
They were famous for playing like Yakuza games and a lot of fighting games, Sonic games and stuff like that. And then they split up because they had a personality clash, and like I was heartbroken. For me, that was like the Beatles like breaking up for me, and then I became friends with them. What the other half, Pat and Wooly, which is so fantastic, and they invited me on their podcast. And then they have a little bit called Hustle or Scam. I think it's a little bit of both. I think. I'm all for Mario, Nintendo re-releasing. I have no problem with re-releases, because the way I see it, movies always have re-release versions all the time, and they're always the same price or even more expensive, dude. You can't buy the Lord of the Rings trilogy for a cheaper price than you did back then. It's the same price.
No,
it's the same price. So so for me, I don't understand why gamers feel like, and I think that's why there's a difference between film and games, and that so many people think of games as software, and then so a remaster or an HD update should be a software update as opposed to a renewed piece of artwork, a remastered piece of artwork. And I think a lot of gamers don't see it that way, but I don't really see video games that's just purely software where we're just updating Microsoft Word or whatever and patches, and you still have to buy a new version of Windows every time. You can't just use Windows 95 and update it to Windows 11.
Great point.
That's just not how it goes. So I think it's totally fine to re-release it. I think it's a scam to have it at a limited edition. That's where I think the scam part goes in, because it's like, come on, guys, like why is this limited? I mean, and it's still clearly on shelves too. So it's like it's not. It was kind of a lie, because people are still clearing things. It sold pretty well. It sold a little bit less than. Let me see. What do you guys think about that, real quick?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So I agree with Eugene that I think in some cases it seems a little scammy. My always argument is just that you're making it easier for me to play an older game. Like I saw genuine complaints about the Super Mario RPG remake and people saying, I can't believe they're going to pay full price for that. And it's like, I don't have an easy way to play that game. This is me who's never played it being able to play that game. I've never given Nintendo $60 for that game. I never bought it, never played it. So for me, it's like, this is the first time they're getting my money. It's not the third time I've bought it. And I understand that argument if you did buy this game several times already, but I haven't. It's new to me, and it's the easiest way to play it. Here's me being able to access a game that's older, it looks better, and that's the value to me. So with Super Mario Sunshine, that package of them, definitely annoying that it started out as like kind of hard to find. I'm sure people who bought it like on eBay for an outrageous price would be kicking themselves because you can still buy them. But it is like, it's about ease of use for me. Yeah, you can emulate it, but you don't have to. You can play it on your Switch. So I'm always going to be happy to see them bringing old games forward. I agree sometimes that maybe like the price might seem too high for some people, but that also just depends on whether or not you have played it before, already paid full price for it 15, 20 years ago. That's a big difference than someone like me who never experienced that game and it's the first time I'm buying it.
Yeah, you bring up such a great point. And I also echo what Colin says a lot. Gaming is an expensive hobby.
It is.
You need to be making money to pay for these games. Otherwise, I guess you got Game Pass, right?
Right.
Right. Or like GameFly rentals, which I used a lot in college. I used to always rent games on GameFly. It doesn't mean getting the newest games super early sometimes. There will be times that you're going to wait a month to play something. But if that value is better for your wallet, honestly, that's a way to play games.
Yeah.
So there are certainly options, but gaming is not the cheapest hobby ever. It never has been.
Yeah. Dagan, what do you think about this whole thing about software updates and films? I really appreciate your perspective on Pixar earlier, by the way. I never really thought about new Pixar movies being a test bed for new technology, with Monsters Inc. with fur. like, and like with the new Elemental movie with water effects and everything. I never, so you're an animator, right? And you think about that stuff deeply. And for me, I'm just like, oh, new Pixar movie. I guess I won't watch it, or I'll watch this. I never really thought about it in the lens of like, hey, they got this new technology and they're kind of trying to stretch their legs and see what kind of storytelling that they can do with this technology. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
I'm so fascinated by it, dude. Thank you for saying that.
Mhm.
And, for an animator, Pixar is the gold standard. It's
Mhm.
like Nintendo in gaming. So the animators are all paying attention to that, like them or hate them, love them or hate them. That's what, that's the thing. And it's interesting for me. They're well injected with money. They're a multi-billion-dollar company. They're able to promote the way they want to promote, but they don't like to promote the movies via the technology, although that's a big part of what they do. They want to be filmmakers and they want to put the art first. And that's the way they like to present themselves. But there always is something going on technologically in every film. Make no mistake about it. It's a huge department there. And the technology enables them to tell the stories that they want. So I'm endlessly fascinated by them. And, again, they're the gold standard, although that seems to be shifting now. And so it's an interesting time. But really, this is a great question and it really, for me, it depends on what day you ask me what my mood is. I know we all get frustrated with the seeming Nintendo cash grabs, but I have to say it's a hustle. It can't be a scam. First of all, if people are buying it, that's not a scam. People are spending their money on it. God bless. Right. And like Micah says, depending on what it is, what we're talking about at the moment, buy it or don't, speak with your wallet. And that's a big thing, whether you're talking about Nintendo or anything else you're going to spend your money on. And gaming is expensive. It just got more expensive with the advent of the $70 game. We knew that was coming, right? But I like Micah's Gamefly sort of nod, because that was a way to make it work, depending on, we all have varying means. So how are you going to make it work? You know what I mean? What are you going to do? And the other thing that Micah makes a great point. You're buying it. A lot of people are probably the people that are more infused with cash, right? They're probably buying things multiple times, expressing their fandom, whatever. But most people, gives them an opportunity to play it for the first time, visit something that's a backlog thing. It's pretty brilliant. I mean, it's certainly a hustle, and it's certainly pretty transparent that they're making money off old things. But they're a business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And staying on Pixar and this topic, I just looked up Toy Story, the 4K UHD version, right? And the regular price for it is $40. And you can buy it on sale on Amazon for $17.99. Now, I distinctly remember the VHS of Toy Story being $19.99 back in the 90s.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was $20. And then now, if you want to buy Toy Story again, you're going to have to at least pay $20 or at the most $40, So that's just what this is. They're not going to re-release a new version of Catcher in the Rye and then it's $1 because it's an old book. No, you're still going to pay $10 for it, which is a lot more than what people paid for it back then.
That's a great point.
This is art. And it takes some form of remastering, and it takes work to do that, to put that, especially for video games. This is software, so there's a lot of coding. There's a lot more to do than just upsampling the resolution and putting it into 4K.
Absolutely.
Got to program it for new controls. Everyone got on Skyward Sword HD's case for being $60 and mostly looking the same. One, it didn't look the same, and then two, the controls, the amount of work to make those controls work on a regular controller is just astounding, and I think that's totally worth paying for. So I really feel sorry that Skyward Sword HD gets such a bad rap and is always brought up as like a scam, because it's really not. They're paying the appropriate price for it, or they're charging the appropriate price for it.
Yeah, it's exclusive. I mean, it's it's marquee content, and you know what the thing is that's important to remember too is that and this isn't exclusive to physical media. Obviously, we're talking about just the games in general, but when it comes to physical media, a lot of us think we hear the death knell of physical media. And I think this is a lot of companies, whether you're talking about Criterion with DVDs or video game companies, sort of saying, let's cash in on this while we can, because physical may be going away, however long that is from now. right? So this is kind of a last ditch effort to make some money off physical media. I think that's a big part of it too. I personally don't think it's going to go away, but a lot of people predict that maybe it will vanish after a fashion, after a certain amount of time. So this is another way of saying, like, let's make money on this while we can for the collectors.
We're probably looking at it as, well, I think a lot of people predict that because of what happened in music in particular.
Sure. Absolutely.
And it's interesting for me in a generational point, and Dagan, you might understand this, is that like for me, I don't have a strong attachment to physical media in music because I grew up around the Napster area, you know, and the MP3 era, and that was fine. And I'm fine with having a musical library that just lives in the cloud or just stays with Spotify or Apple. I don't pay for Spotify anymore. I'm an Apple guy, so I'm Apple Music. But yeah, so I must imagine that for people who have been born in after the turn of the century, you know, physical media was just really there at the beginning. But then once he started getting into teens, he started downloading things on Xbox 360. People like Chris Reagan's age and younger, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I would say late 20s right now, early 30s, that generation, for sure. Like physical media, I mean, not everybody. I mean, look at an old soul like Maddie.
Yeah, exactly.
He's certainly in that wheelhouse.
For sure. Yeah.
But
I forget how young Maddie is, actually.
Oh my God, he's such an old soul.
He's such a baby, but he's
he's so young.
Yeah, he's a real baby, but he doesn't. I'm not saying that he looks old, but he carries himself. He seems a little bit older, like he's in his early 30s, you know.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
When he told me his age, I was shocked. I was like, dude, I've been watching you since you were like 18. That's creepy, you know.
I'm still not as mature as him.
Huh?
I'm still not as mature as Maddie.
I'm not sure either. So. Well, let's get into the news. The Nintendo Direct. It was pretty massive. It was very long. Do you guys watch it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really long. Towards the end, I was like, "Wow, this is still going," and it was packed with content. So we got a lot to get through. Well, first of all, what are your overall impressions, just real quick, of the Nintendo Direct? Dagan, I'll start with you.
Some nice surprises. I wasn't paying attention necessarily to what was coming and predictions and all that. So some fun surprises, and some stuff I didn't. I was indifferent to also. I thought it started and ended weird. I thought the opening part and the closing part were strange picks. But I thought it felt long. But it was packed. I mean, it seems like Nintendo's generally, there were some disappointments, but I think that they're continuing their strong role, I would say.
Micah, what do you think?
Yeah, I want to agree and say I felt like this was a little bit too long of a presentation, and only because of the repeats. The things that we sort of saw again but didn't really get new information on, like Detective Pikachu, for example. I don't really feel like they told us much new about that game, and that could have just been in the section at the end of the recap of what's coming what's coming soon. That I felt like that should have just been relegated to that part of the show. And just cut it out of the middle. Like, show me the new stuff, show me the updates. But the ones that were kind of just reminders that this is coming soon, it's like that could have just gone at the end in the section that they basically called, reminders of what's coming soon. So I agree that I overall liked the Direct. But there were some moments I thought that could have just been relegated to the ending portion. We already knew this game was coming. You didn't show me very much more.
I'm glad I asked this at the front, and you both said what I hope you'd say is that you were quite indifferent to a lot of titles, because so was I. So, and there's so many titles to go through. So I think we have a massive list here, and when we get to a good chunk of section where we feel like there's a lot of indifference there, maybe we can move along a little bit quicker.
Right on.
My overall impressions was, I think that it's very clear that the Switch 2 is coming, because with all of these remasters and reboots and the smaller projects, it's a great way to. It's a clear sign that they're clearly freeing up a lot of their bigger projects for what's coming next. And also, I had an interview with Doug Bowser I published in the Washington Post earlier. And when I asked him, what can we expect for 2024? He says, I can't answer that. So the fact that he tells me that he can't answer that tells me that that you got to know what's coming. So that was one way for me to kind of like confirm again that there's big things coming in 2024. So let's get through this real quick. Dagan, to your point about starting a little bit strange, we got Splatoon 3 DLC side order. Micah, you play Splatoon, right? Both of you play Splatoon?
My family
Yeah, I
does.
haven't played the newest one.
I am a pretty big Splatoon fan. I am kind of lapsed though because I enjoy Splatoon 3 and I did play maybe 100 hours of it, but that's short compared to how much I played Splatoon 2, which was like I played it like it was Halo,
That was me.
I love that game, and I really really enjoy Splatoon 1. And to me, Splatoon is like a very seemingly Gen Z type product, very young, very stylish, very fashionable. And Nintendo just recently had their Nintendo Live event in Seattle, in time with PAX West, and they had live musical performances, but it was only orchestral and big band versions of Mario and Zelda. And the ones in Japan, they get full 3D hologram concerts of the Splatoon kids and the Splatoon pop stars singing the Splatoon songs, and they're massive, and they have lights and everything like that. It's like a massive rave. And it's like a Taylor Swift concert, because Taylor Swift concerts, they give you like these flashy like wristbands.
Sure. Yeah.
That you wrist up, and then the whole crowd lights up, and that's what is always happening in a freaking Splatoon concert. So I was really disappointed that the Nintendo Live didn't have anything like that, and I'm kind of glad I didn't go because of that. Because really, the only reason why I wanted to go to Nintendo Live is to see holographic Splatoon pop girls dancing on screen. And side order, yeah, I have to admit I'm not that excited about it. Partially because I feel like I'm done with Splatoon 3, and I kind of know how their DLC goes. It's a lot of puzzles, and the story will be a little bit vague, and the stories are a little bit post-apocalyptic, because it's a future where humanity is extinct, and the only people around are octopus people and squid people, right? So a lot of the story is telling the backstory of how humanity died off, So that's always a little exciting. But this is something that I'll have to check out like way later down the line, and not something I'll probably jump in day one. So Splatoon thoughts, anyone?
Yeah, when I played Splatoon, I was strictly online.
Yeah.
When you mentioned like puzzles and things, it's like, yeah, I didn't enjoy the campaign, whatever you want to call it. Like, I strictly played Splatoon online, and that's all I needed from it. It was it's like that was Titanfall for me, of like just the online. That's all I need. Just give me the online. So, and much like Call of Duty, I'll try the campaigns. I don't always finish them. Like, I just want the multiplayer. So I really never kind of latched on to the Splatoon, like campaigns and stuff like that. It's just not the content I'm after, because for me, that multiplayer is absolutely enough to keep my attention for a very long time. That's just all I needed from those games.
Yeah, you get clothes, you get different hairstyles, you get different guns,
Exactly.
So different stickers for your locker in Splatoon 3. I love that. Actually, now that I'm talking about it, I'm kind of interested in picking it back up again. But yeah, with the campaign, I'm with you that I enjoy the campaigns, and I think they're well designed. But I think it's actually for me an aesthetic problem, because all the campaigns are not in grounded levels. They're always like in some mystery magic space where there's all these puzzle platforms and everything like that. And it's like I don't feel like a strong connection of adventure, because it's like the Zelda shrines where they're just all in the same kind of place, and you're just all in some mystical area, and the focus is on the puzzle itself. And that's what Splatoon adventures always are. And it's like, I don't know if I'm really into that. So, Diggin, do you have any experience with Splatoon? Tell me about it.
Yeah, I mean, I love Splatoon. I love it just as an IP for Nintendo, that it's one of their most contemporary. It feels very fresh. We talked about it with the tie-ins, with just something that seems a little hip, fresh, fashion, graffiti, the whole thing. I really love the art style of the game. It's very important franchise to my family. My youngest, and it's really the only game my wife plays. It started with the first one. It's interesting what you say about 2, Gene, because I think that was the height of their Splatoon fandom too. But even I feel the same way though with them. I could see them sort of enough's enough with Splatoon 3. Like they're not, it's been a while. Feels like maybe this wave 2 of the side order DLC wasn't even necessary. I do wonder. Here's the big thing about this announcement, though, and not just with Splatoon 3, but across this direct, we got a spring 24 release, right? Some spring 24, some summer. So what this direct told me was, like you said, Gene, obviously something's coming.
Fall
maybe
24.
fall, maybe holiday. I don't know. But if they want people to hang with the Switch, it definitely can't be. Now we know it definitely can't be earlier than fall 24, because these games are coming out, April, May, June, maybe even July. So I would say I would argue that maybe they're even going to do a holiday thing, but certainly not before the fall. And we know that now. So that was the big tell, I think, of this direct. It was like, all right, they want people to spend some ducats on some games. They're going to have to hang with this console for a while, at least another 9 months.
That's what Nintendo America President Doug Bowser keeps saying, is like it's a steady beat of content, right? And that's clearly the strategy. It's like, okay, we're going to keep you hooked on the Switch and at the most we can do until we can finally sell you new hardware.
Smart.
Yeah, it's smart. That's how Nintendo. That's why Nintendo's Nintendo. The next game is interesting to me because and we got a question here from Mr. Jack Fining. Hey y'all, we got even more Mario remakes on the way, and I was wondering what your experience is with Mario vs. Donkey Kong. I played the original quite a few times through on the GBA, and was very surprised to see it getting the remake treatment, especially since the series had been so mini Mario focused since. However, with all the great games on the horizon, I'm not sure if I'll pick it up at $50. Hopefully there's a bit more to show it to make that price worth it, even though I think the game looks really great and keeps the charm of the GBA version. And Mario vs. Donkey Kong was originally a 2004 puzzle platform game developed by Nintendo Software Technology, based in Redmond, for the Game Boy Advance, and it was a successor to the 1994 Donkey Kong on Game Boy, which I adored. I loved that game. And that was one of the first games for the Super Game Boy where you can play, it was a cartridge and you can put the cartridge in your Super Nintendo and you can put the Game Boy in the Super Game Boy and you can play the Game Boy games on TV. That was the original vision of the Switch, right? That you can play your handheld games on the TV. Right. And it was in full color. It was like 16 colors, So Donkey Kong in 1984 was so colorful, it was so great. But 2004 was a period of time where I wasn't gaming that much. I didn't play a ton of games on the Game Boy Advance. I played Advance Wars and all that stuff, but I wasn't really into it. So Mario vs. Donkey Kong, when I first saw that, I thought it was a new game completely. I couldn't think that it was new, but I'd never heard of it, and that's shocking to me. You would think that I would know about every Mario game, but I don't. So for me, bringing back to Micah's point about, I never played this before. So I'm great that this is available for me. That's my view for Mario vs. Donkey Kong, that I never played this before. And I would not, it'd probably be really expensive for me to get a GBA and this on cartridge. So it's nice that I can finally experience the sequel to one of my favorite games of all time on this. So that's interesting to me. I don't know if I'll play it right away though, because as we'll find out, there's so many Mario games coming out. And we'll have a question about that later. But
yes, indeed.
Micah, what do you think about Mario vs. Donkey Kong? You were nodding when you said that this is new to you too.
Yes, yeah. I saw this and thought, wow, this is such a cool little idea for a game. It's like side-scrolling puzzles. This looked really neat. I had no idea when I was first watching the direct that this was, a remake of a game from 2004. And a reminder to the audience, I would have been 11 in 2004. So don't hate me too much for not knowing this existed.
Micah, you're not hardcore.
But it was what I wrote down in my notes was, I have to buy this for my nephews. My sister's kids, they love the Switch. They love Mario. And I was like, as soon as I'm watching this would be such a great collaborative game for two kids to solve the puzzles together. They're close enough in age that they can play this together, I feel, and, help each other solve the puzzles. One's pointing out where to go type thing. But that was the first thing I wrote down was I have to buy this for the boys. I was a little disappointed that it's coming out in February because I was like, this is Christmas, written all over it. But,
true.
It still can be, right? It could be late Christmas. That's fine.
Good point.
But this looks like so much fun to me. I don't know if it's something I would enjoy myself because I'm not the biggest puzzle person. Yeah. Within moderation, I like puzzles, but I would totally buy this as gifts for the kids in the family, because I think they'll have a blast with it.
Yeah, Dagan, what do you think? Especially in the I know we've only just met a couple months ago, right? But from what I understand, there are nice lapses in your gaming career, right? And I relate to that too, because again, 2004, this was right after college for me. And even I gamed a lot in college. I had roommates and we had N64 and PlayStation. But after that, I moved back to Guam, and so I was really disconnected from other gamers. And this was really when I started to work. I was 21 at the time, so this is really when I started to work and really explore my young adult life. And gaming really wasn't like the biggest part of that. Gaming has always been a part of that, but I would take years off, and so I don't know. What are your lapses in your gaming career? Because obviously it's huge now, and I think that's the purpose of Knockback, to kind of catch you up on stuff you might have missed, right?
Absolutely, yes. You're being very kind. So many lapses. Like I feel like I have to take the scroll out. It's going to roll down and roll across the floor.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are certainly. We'll talk about my GameCube lapse, which was massive.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that at the show at some point. Mm-hmm. I think around this time it was Game Boy Advance for me, and that was pretty much it. Even PS2 at that point, I was out. It was prior to PS3 for me, obviously. But I did know about this. I did know about Mario versus Donkey Kong, although I never played any of them. It is a real sleeper series, even for hardcore Nintendo fans. I bet a lot of them, right?
Yeah, I don't know a lot of Nintendo fans that know about even the 1984 Donkey Kong game too. I never hear anyone talking about it.
That's a really vague. That's a really vague connection, and that's definitely one of those things that's a deep cut. For puzzle platforming action, though, I think it looks super fun. Unlike Micah talked about it before, Captain Toad, which is the worst. I think about this as like a fun Captain Toad, and I love the toyifying thing. I love the wind up key in the back, mechanical tin toy thing. It's super adorable. And what I love about the series, and what I think I heard about it in the past, but I could see that now in this demo of this reimagining or this latest version, this series really channels the classic DK games, Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., in the mechanics, in the obstacles, in the music. It's a direct nod back, very reverent send up to like the original Donkey Kong series, Pauline. So if you as an old man, I really appreciate that. You could hear the Donkey Kong Jr. music cues, and you're climbing across ropes. It's like, wow, this is what it would look like, 40 years later. It's fantastic. This looks really fun. It's going to be hard to prioritize this game, but I'm definitely putting this on the list. It looks amazing.
Yeah. I'm with you, Micah. I'm a little disappointed that it's February. It would be a nice cozy winter game.
That's a miss.
Yes.
But February's still kind of winter. So thanks, Jack, for that question. Very good question. Next on the list, there's a couple games that I'm going to run through. But the first one, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, releasing January 18, 2024. I'm a huge Prince of Persia fan. I'm surprised to find myself only mildly interested in this one. Mostly because it's not the actual Prince of Persia. So there's that. And it seems very, very action focused. And contrary to Micah, I like some puzzles in my games. I totally get like why puzzles aren't that relaxing, but with Prince of Persia, I think you need some kind of puzzle atmosphere. So this one seems a little bit more action focused. The only reason why I'm interested in it is because it got the sign off, the seal of approval from the Prince of Persia creator and one of my idols in any art form, Jordan Mechner, the creator of Prince of Persia. And I actually got to interview him, and I'm hoping to do a story soon about him. But he seems to be really enjoying what they did with the game. So if he's signing off on it, then that and he also made the original Prince of Persia for the PS2 and Xbox, the original Xbox, which was fantastic. The Sands of Time, right? Seminal game, one of the greatest games ever made. And he was also partially involved in that one too. So any game, Prince of Persia game where he is at least signing off on it, it's got to be good. So that's my take on it. I don't know what your guys' history on Prince of Persia. Pipe up if you have one. No,
Nothing. I mean, I have no history of Prince of Persia besides knowing that it's a beloved game franchise. But I gotta say, Gene, I saw this demo and I was like, wow, this looks like shades of Symphony of the Night. I'm in. Like, it looks like fast, fluid, 2D, beautiful boss fights. I was like, whoa, this. I could see what you're saying about the puzzle elements, at least not featured in what we saw here. But I was like, I just could not stop thinking about Alucard and Symphony of the Night. And I was like, this looks like Symphony of the Night.
I'm a big fan of the 2D format though, actually. So perhaps I'm selling the game a little short. I guess I'm just waiting to see. I don't want to say that I'm not excited for it. I guess I guess I'll see when I play it, right? I think it's partially because it's Ubisoft, and Ubisoft has yet to prove themselves correct, because they just haven't released a lot of games lately, and the last games they released were just not great, and it's just Ubisoft. So I think partially is I need Ubisoft to prove themselves. That's why Assassin's Creed Mirage, like I'm such a huge Assassin's Creed fan. I'm the reason why they made annual releases, because I kept buying every single one. But I'm so tired of the series now. So Assassin's Creed Mirage is coming out, and that's supposed to be like, a return to the original series roots. So that gets me excited. But so Ubisoft is saying all the right things about Prince of Persia and Assassin's Creed, which are two related games. Assassin's Creed was originally supposed to be the new Prince of Persia, and they decided to make it a new
I didn't
IP.
know that.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So the Assassin's Creed definitely has Prince of Persia DNA in it. So Ubisoft is saying all the right things about Prince of Persia and Assassin's Creed. It's like, I just need you to prove it, So I need you to know that you're a different company now, and then you're actually making these games well. So
you have the right to temper your expectations, my friend. I like it. I like it, but got to be a little defensive sometime, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's coming in January too, so that's another wait. These next couple of games, I'm just gonna say, and if you please feel free if you have any strong feelings about them. Horizon Chase 2, which is out already. Don't really have much to say about that.
Nothing at all.
Super Crazy Rhythm Castle, November 14th. Nothing at all for me.
No.
Spy Cross Anya, Operation Memories. No idea what that is. Sorry.
Yeah, what I wrote for that was super cute OMG dog in a hat. Yeah. But I don't know anything else about it. I just really liked that the dog was wearing like a little bowler hat. That was very cute. But that's all I got.
That is cute. That might be
Spy
enough.
Anya. I was like, okay, at least give them a little nod for the name at least. All right, that's kind of adorable.
Yeah, it's cute. It's cute. And then there's Super Mario RPG, which you already know a lot about. I did see people a tweet that says that you can actually switch to the original score in the game. I'm really excited about that.
That's cool.
Yeah, because the original score. Neither of you guys played Super Mario RPG, right?
No, I played.
You did?
Yeah, it was a long time ago, but I played. Yeah.
Oh, Yoko Shimomura. Oh my God. Okay, so she's a legend. She's a legendary composer of Street Fighter 2.
Yes.
Oh my God, like all the music of Street Fighter 2 is incredible. Guile's theme.
Legend.
Yeah, legend, absolute legend. And also she's worked on Xenoblade Chronicles as well too. So she's got such a long history, and yeah, her soundtrack for Super Mario RPG is just wonderful. I cannot wait for that game. If we can count remakes, like that would probably be like over Resident Evil 4 remake for me, and because I kind of prefer the original Resident Evil 4 at this point. But
it's so good, dude. You know what I remember about? It's been a long time since I've played. I love the graphical reimagining. It looks like it's going to be beautiful.
Mario
but
RPG.
that game was so fun to play. But what the great thing about that game, I guess I was probably 20 years old playing that game for the first time, and it made me laugh. The humor in that game is wonderful. There's such a levity in it.
Mario RPG, right?
Yeah.
I remember when like Mario would like he's mute, right? So he doesn't say anything, and he would have to like pantomime everything. Like he's mimicking what Bowser looked like and everything. It was a very, very funny game.
So fun.
And a lot of people don't know, and Dustin didn't know this, but Super Mario RPG is the genesis of the Paper Mario series, Mario and Luigi Superstar series.
Yes.
And it's also the first RPG, first Japanese RPG ever to have like timed attacks. So when you attack someone, when you press attack, and then when they hit the animation hit the attack, press A again, and you can get more strength, right? That's
It's
in
so
Paper
fun.
Mario. That's in Mario and Luigi. That's in Sea of Stars, I believe, right?
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
That all comes from Super Mario RPG. Super Mario RPG is more influential than a lot of people think, and I think people don't give it enough credit. Like for me, again, I've said this before, that I'll count it among Final Fantasy 6, and Chrono Trigger as like one of the great RPGs of that time.
I think a lot of people feel that way, and that one mechanic just brings the fun to the next level. It's it's so simple, but it makes it so much better.
So simple, and then when Mario jumps, like bloop, 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 and then you have to press A at the same time. It's so engaging.
And when you miss it, you're like, God damn it!
Yeah, and when you miss it, then you're still hitting them, right? So that there's always progress,
right? Exactly.
But there's a second game there of timing that makes it so fun and so engaging, and it's just pure gaming genius, you know. This next one is interesting to me. Another Code Recollection, January 19, 2024. And this was when I started to really play the DS, and I really got fascinated by the visual novel format. And the DS was really my introduction to that. You know, Phoenix Wright, the Ace Attorney.
Right.
And Another Code was originally called Trace Memory, right? Am I getting the right Trace Memory?
Yeah, that's
Trace
right.
Memory.
Yep.
And so I really enjoyed that too. And there was another game called Hotel Dusk that was there too. So I'm really excited to see this one kind of come back. I don't remember much of it at all. You know, I was very much like very high when I was playing DS. You know, this was like that game came out when I was like in my dark period again. 2005. Yeah, that was the darkest period of my life. So I don't remember a lot of what games I played, but I remember really enjoying it. I remember being fascinated by the animation and everything. So you know, Micah, you're a visual novel fan, so is this something you might be interested in?
This has me in the maybe category because yes, I love visual novels, and of course I only play ones where you actually have choice, right? I don't enjoy what's called the kinetic novels where you are just reading a book. Like I don't like that. I want the ones where you actually make choices and it matters. So they have me on that front, but when they mentioned the, you know, puzzles, that's where it's like, to what extent are we doing puzzles? To what extent are we, you know, kind of making choices and just following different paths? That's where I'd need to learn more about the game to decide if it's really for me. But I was excited to see it only because I'm always just happy to continue seeing visual novels being released, you know, and getting positive responses, essentially. I'm not going to buy every single one, but I'm just always happy to continue seeing them, you know, out. And it's just another example, too, of making something easier to play. You know, yeah, let's bring these games from the DS over to the Switch. Perfect. You know, absolutely appreciate them doing that. But I'm not totally sold on it yet. This is a game that I wrote down as need to look more into.
Sure, the puzzles are a little bit more like tactile, like you have to use the touchscreen for that, so it might be a little bit easier. As I recall it, I never thought that they were too hard. So,
and it's bundled, right, Gene? It has Trace Memory in the bundle as well, so you can play both games, I think.
Yeah. The
right?
complete
That's kind of
series,
cool.
you know?
Yeah, I have to say this was the most confusing part of the direct. Like, just in terms of the naming, it's like you guys really just needed to lead off with here's the game, here's what it's called. Like, they started it off with like you're a girl on an island, whatever, and then they're like in, you know, another code 2 memories. I'm like, all right, and then they're like another code R, and I'm like, what are you talking about? It was just like you just needed to really lead this off, make it easier.
Yeah, I don't even know which one I played, honestly. I barely remember Hotel Dusk. I think Phoenix Wright is really the only game I remember very vividly, and again because I played that, and it kind of was the best one out of that whole movement.
Legendary, yeah. Mike, I'm glad it's not just me. I was like, what kind of old man shit? I can't keep up. What is happening? So the fact that you're saying that makes me feel so much better. Thank you.
Yeah, I think COG is the second oldest one out of this whole family. But
yeah,
you know, I'm definitely getting up there, and you know, I think I appreciate a lot of your perspective, Dagan, because I am either elder millennial. I'm definitely on the cusp of millennial and Gen X, right? You're solidly Gen X, right?
Oh God, I'm all the way in. I'm practically a boomer.
For me, like I am just at the cusp of it, and I feel like I probably relate a little bit more to Gen X. I hate millennials, Sorry, Micah.
Oh,
But I mean, millennials created BuzzFeed, for Christ's sake, so
that's true. I don't like that either.
exactly, right? Yeah. So it's like, and millennials haven't done a great job. This is why like people always say, hey, like one kid does something cool, and then like you put out a tweet, hey, the kids are all right, and that tweet gets like a fucking 30,000 likes because you want to believe in the next generation, right?
Yes.
Right. You want to believe that you're raising the next generation, right? But I don't believe we are. I don't think we are, because millennials turned out to be absolute shitheads, right?
Oh,
I mean, it's Zuckerberg, it's
That's right. Yeah.
Jared Kushner of Trump, right? And Ivanka Trump. Those are the shining stars of our millennial class of millennials. Elizabeth Holmes,
God help
right?
us.
Elizabeth Holmes, and then we created BuzzFeed and Huffington Post and all that stuff. So it's
that's right. I pretend to like them, but you guys make it hard sometimes. I give them a hard time. The millennials.
Yeah. I mean, trust me. I wanted to work at BuzzFeed for a while too, right? But that's because they were doing well, right? But then I started to like, I'm like, I don't know. But it helped that I worked at Washington Post and I didn't need their job anymore, right? But and then now there's just no jobs, period. So
would you guys agree that the millennials are smarter than Gen Xers? I think they're more intelligent than Gen Xers. I just think Gen Xers have more boomer in them, as far as, I don't know, like an old school social wherewithal. This is too deep of a topic for right now, but I do think they're smarter. But I do think my daughter's generation, who's going to be working for you guys, I think they're smarter than you guys.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that. I think there might be some kind of civil war between. I don't know, what's that generation called? Like the current
Gen Alpha now.
Late in high school right now. That's Alpha.
Late in high school. I think that's still Gen Z, actually. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a Gen Z millennial thing. I don't think the Gen Zs are going to do well with being underneath the millennials.
No, because I don't think the millennials are great bosses either.
Take their iPad.
I'm sorry. What was that, Micah?
Oh, I said all I have to do is take their iPad away and they'll cry.
That's their kryptonite. Fine. No phone. Just take their phone and be like,
how do I consume content?
Shut down. Damn it, that's a good point. Forget my theory.
I always think about that baby who tried to read a book and was swiping at it, just like did not understand like what this was. I'm just like, oh my god,
that's
dude.
So sad.
Yeah, so that's why I don't think, I don't think the kids are all right. I think Gen Z is going to be shitty too. I think Gen Alpha is going to be even fucking worse. I do think that as we go on, the generations are getting worse. I don't know. What do you guys think, chat? Leave in the comments below.
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Only Gen Xers.
Do you believe in your generation, and do you believe in the next generation? I don't know, but I'm skeptical because of how millennials turned out. Because everyone kept saying that about us. The kids are right.
Yeah.
Look at the millennials. Look at what they're doing. Look at how they're changing work culture. What did we change? I don't know. Nothing. It's kind of like how boomers, like boomers look back at their time and they're like, what did we change? I don't know. We made a lot of good music.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. Come on.
Protested the Vietnam War, I guess, So I don't know. Anyways, that was a tangent. Princess Peach Showtime. March 22nd. That comes so late. Oh my god.
I know. I'm disappointed about that too.
Yeah. That release date is, I think, what Dagan was talking about earlier. It's like, this is clearly not going to be.
That's the big one.
Because the Switch came out around March, right? And it's like, okay, they're clearly not going to be repeating the March release date, because if they're releasing Princess Peach, kind of the star of the show, really, in terms of the new games, right? And really, they're really only really big new game coming out. I don't know, but I'm super excited for it. Princess Peach has been one of my all-time favorite characters of all time. She was my original crush, like as a human being. She for the longest time, like you think of, like, a lot of people think of Barbie as like the idealistic woman, right? But for me, that was Princess Peach. So I see a lot of parallels between Princess Peach and Barbie, and maybe Princess Peach is going to do well. Clearly there's a huge. There's always been a huge market. Clearly, there's always been a huge market to sell to women. And to sell more feminine products. And I'm really, really glad that Princess Peach is back. And she's got an interesting mechanic where she's wearing different costumes, right? So like she dresses up as a kung fu fighter, and then she starts getting kung fu stuff.
Come on, so
and she's
good.
a pirate, and she's going to be sword fighting. That's incredible. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of this? I'm super excited for this. I can't wait. Micah, what do you think? Ladies first.
Yeah, I had a friend text me actually as soon as the direct was over because she was like, "Did you see it yet?" And I hadn't. I was busy, so I was like, "No, I'm gonna watch it later." And the Peach game is what we're both so excited about, and I'm loving this. All her different abilities. Yeah, the sword fighter, detective. She dresses up as like a little pastry chef. I don't know how to say the French word, but patisserie or whatever. I just love it. Like this is so much. I don't know. It looks incredible. I'm really excited for this. And it allays all my fears that we were going to get another game where like Peach's secret weapon was crying, it just was one of those things of like, yeah, I don't know if this is actually going to be cool or not. We'll see what they do. This looks cool. I am disappointed though in the release date. Like, March, it's just one of those things for me. I see this as like a slam dunk Christmas present. And I think we knew it was coming 2024, but still, it's just like March.
Yeah,
man,
January
like,
would have been nice, right?
Yeah, this is kind of a weird time. But as I'm looking through my notes, I'm realizing I think that for 2024, like most of the release dates are spring. And there maybe was like one thing that said like summer 2024. Like you guys are making me realize, that most of these games are spring 24. Some of them said early 24. And they really are like, it seems like everything's coming out in the first half of next year, really hinting towards what's coming out later, maybe the new console.
I'm excited for this one too because maybe we can finally have a nice format for Princess Peach. Toad has his Toad Adventures, the Tracker Adventures. Luigi, obviously, and we'll talk about that more, has the Luigi's Mansion series. So like each Mario character seems to have their own like format, right? And it'd be really nice to have like a Princess Peach series, a Princess Peach 2 that evolves on this. So I'm really, really excited to see Nintendo, experiment with a new formula. And I saw a tweet that said that this seems like Balan Wonderworld. And if you guys don't know what Balan Wonderworld is, that was the disastrous game by the Sonic creator Yuji Naka, now indicted and convicted for insider trading.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He got arrested twice.
Shit.
He got arrested twice for it.
I didn't.
He's gotten arrested for insider trading as much as I've been arrested for drunk driving. That's incredible. So like he has an actual problem going
Holy
on.
shit! I didn't.
He got arrested twice for the same crime. That sucks. It's like that YouTuber EDP 4045 getting caught for pedophilia twice. You guys don't know who he is, but he's a sportscaster. Maybe Colin knows who he is. Oh, Colin obviously would know because he's also watching the same pedo catchers.
Yeah, that's right. He loves that.
But Dagan, what do you think about Princess Peach?
Oh man, I'm excited. I mean, I think we have to relish this time period that we're in where we're all looking ahead with bated breath to the next console generation, but we have so much to be excited for now. This game is looking better and better every time I see it. I love the stage theater motif. That's really cute. I love that we're getting new characters. We got that Stella flower character. We got a new villain, Grape. Look forward to those amiibos. Look forward to playing them in Smash. We got new IP, which I always get excited about. I love the fighting with the ribbon. That's super cool. And then if that wasn't enough for you, I mean, look, the cosplay, the power cosplay, right? I was like, Sword Fighter Peach, absolutely. How could you do better than that?
Exactly.
Detective.
You're right. You're right about the cosplay bit because like it really encourages so much fan fan creation.
That's a great point.
The drawings, animation, and also the cosplay.
That's a
as
really
well. The actual cosplay.
Point.
People want to cosplay as like Princess Peach as different jobs. I guess
Yeah. So now you have all of that.
It's a job system. It's a Final Fantasy job system for Princess Peach, basically, right?
Kung Fu Peach, or like call her Chun-Li Peach. I didn't think you could get better than the sword fighting, but then if that wasn't enough, then you get Kung Fu Peach. And listen, we won't go any further because if we do a little mini game, I want to go further on this. But what else are we going to see? We know there's going to be more costumes. And look, still plenty of question marks in the game too. Just looking at the clips, we got platforming, we got some boss fights, we got some single screen puzzle segments. So how is this game going to play? It looks like there's some timer sections and stuff. So I thought, all right, this looks pretty interesting. It is far out, from March 22nd, but I think it's big enough to look forward to. I think we know that now. Like, this is going to be a pretty big, sort of meaty, robust game.
Yeah,
right?
you're right. Also, digging about the questions about how it'll play, because it reminds you of when Luigi's Mansion debuted for the GameCube, and they were showing out demos of Luigi's Mansion, and everyone was like, "What is this game? Like, how do you play this?" You know. And even now, if you don't know anything about Luigi's Mansion, you'd be like, this is so different from Mario, you know. And so that's why like it gives me so much hope, because like there's so much mystery in like what kind of game this is, and that's exciting. That's Nintendo playing with new ideas, you know.
Yeah.
So
That's always a good thing.
that's always a good thing.
Always a good thing.
A couple games to run through. Please stop if you have any comments on them. Saga Emerald Beyond. Only comment I have is that I have a loyal Twitter follower who's a huge Saga fan, and every reply he makes to me is to ensure that I play the Saga games. So shout out to you. I totally forget your name too, but Saga something. But you know, I might check this out. Micah, you're a JRPG fan. Is that something that interested you?
Yeah, this is a maybe. I wrote down about the 6 heroes, 17 interconnected worlds, it said, and you making choices to unlock different paths. That's always one of my favorite ideas in games. So this is a definitely one I'm going to watch and wait for. But it's on the list.
Yeah. Big, I assume you don't have much to say.
Never played a Saga game. I think that from reliable sources, I have heard, not from everybody, but I've heard bad things. I don't know why, but I have to say, I was intrigued by the trailer.
Looks great. Looks cool.
It looks really cool. Like, not from the character designs so much, but the character types. It was like a puppet master dude that controls like these, fighting puppets, and this Bonnie and Clyde crime fighter, and this witch who wants to look younger, so she disguised herself as a schoolgirl. I was like, these are really cool ideas for characters. Why is Saga so bad? So I don't know. I think the characters sound very interesting at the least. So maybe this is it's not going to, listen, my backlog is so big. I can never play this game, but it looks like
that's my issue. I still have to play Octopath Traveler and like Sea of Stars. I was like, oh my God. No. So I'm not going to get to this. I'm glad that the option is there for me to get to eventually. Right. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a running theme. Again, what Micah said, that it's great to have access to these games that we never got a chance to before,
There you go.
And speaking of that, there's Tomb Raider. Guys, do you have any, the Tomb Raider, the original Tomb Raider trilogy, the original games for PlayStation 1, kind of redone for the Switch, and I guess the modern consoles. I have a deep history with the Tomb Raider series. I loved Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3, but it was really 1. I was listening to Chris Raygun on Sacred Symbols talk about how he was scared of Tomb Raider 1, oddly. And I get that, because the sound design back then, like, you couldn't have too many sounds. So when you're walking around as Lara Croft, you can only hear and you hear a wolf, and you're like, wow, and then like gunfire. It's so quiet. There's not a lot of music. It's a little bit eerie, and I feel like that contributed so much to like this feeling of like adventure, And the original Tomb Raider games was really one of the first 3D games alongside Mario 64,
Yeah.
It was really one of the first times anybody tried to make a game like that in 3D. And it's, again, going back to Prince of Persia, very, very highly influenced by how Prince of Persia went. When you're jumping, you're always, every leap that you make is always like perfectly measured to how far Lara Croft would jump, So it was very, very elegantly designed game, and like it really gave you the feeling of like I was really like deep into this tomb, and there's like almost no way out. It was so scary. I don't remember any about part 2 or 3. I remember that they were a lot more action heavy, but 1 was the one that I have the most vivid memories of. But what do you guys experience with Tomb Raider? Diggin'?
You know what? I love your positive memories of the game. I have to say, rare bit of negativity here. Hate Tomb Raider. I always hated it. I got PlayStation.
The control sucked, right?
Oh, I couldn't. I couldn't with the D-pad. It took me a long time to get conditioned to the PlayStation D-pad. I got PlayStation probably like a year after release, and I came with Toshinden, and then I took home Tomb Raider. And it was a me thing. It wasn't the game. It was me. It was like that era Dagon versus ultra blocky 2D polygonal games. I just wasn't ready. It wasn't until Tony Hawk came out where it was like I found a game fun enough to play where I could get past what the graphics look like. I was in school for 2D animation at that time. It just wasn't the mentalities.
Very messy looking.
Very messy, very primitive, right? And I never got past Tomb Raider 1. I never played another game because I hated the first one so much. But again, that was more very era-specific Dagon. Never really gave it a fair shake.
It was tough. Like I remember being so confused by it too. And I think Chris brought up a great point. Is that I guess the biggest question is how does this control? Because the control was so garbage back then, So if they, I say that this was up there with Mario 64 as one of the first. That's why I clarified. It's one of the first 3D games. I didn't say it's one of the most influential 3D games.
Yeah. Because it was ambitious.
It was ambitious, but between Tomb Raider and Mario 64, it's clear that Mario 64 was the way forward.
Oh my God!
In terms of how to control people in 3D environments.
Well said.
And so that's why I appreciate Tomb Raider for what it tried to do, because I for the life of me I can't even do that now, like animate 3D and do that. So to be able to, it was a brave new world back then. I think Tomb Raider really tried it, and that's why the series has struggled, because it just needed to catch up to a lot of things, So I'm fairly excited for it. Again, I'm glad that it'll be out there. They are important games again for the 3D space, and I'll be interested to see. And I miss that era of Lara Croft where she was very elegant and very feminine and very like she's meant to be like a beautiful idealized woman, like a Barbie, right?
Pre-Angelina, right?
Pre-Angelina, yeah. And I like, look, I was like 12, I think, when these games came out, or 13. So like it was very titillating for me too. Don't get me wrong, like when she would do the handstand, like I kept doing that over and over again. Every I would, because you can do a climb. You can just climb up a ledge, right? Just regular way, and she'll grunt, ugh, and it's like that's sexy. But then you can climb up fancy and do a little handstand. And do a little flip up to the ledge. I did it every single time. It was addictive.
You were at that perfect age.
Yeah, I was at that perfect age. It was absolutely marketed towards me. I definitely remember masturbating to it a couple of times. Because I played it on PC too, and then there were nude mods. So then I call them messy, but they still worked. It's like looking at the old heavy metal magazine.
That makes sense.
It's like look at the old heavy metal comic art or whatever.
Right, exactly. Right. It's the same kind of
a little titillating, We already talked about Detective Pikachu. I think that's enough. October. This is a weird one though. October 6, 2024. That's super late. So I don't know. I feel like they only added Detective Pikachu because it's Pikachu and it's Pokemon, and it's probably going to sell pretty decently. But Mike is right. We didn't really understand anything more about this game. I have the original Detective Pikachu. I never really played it, but it's very much like a kind of a visual novel type of game too. So we'll see. A couple games to run through. Well, actually, Trombone Champ is out. Have you guys heard of this game?
I never heard of this.
Yeah. Dagon.
Yeah.
You don't even need to play it. You just look up a video of it. It's
hysterical.
It is one of the funniest games ever made. Where you're playing a trombone and you're playing like old American big band classics, but then you're moving the cursor up and down to like match like what the thing says, and but the notes are just so off, so it just sounds like you're just like someone just having a panic attack like playing trombone.
I noticed the narrator during the direct says the controls are pretty unique.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was saying they were shit.
Yeah.
In the direct to promote the game. I was like, holy shit, that's pretty. But if there's going to be a Guitar Hero, right, then come on, let's give the trombone player some props.
Yeah. It's a hilarious game. So I don't know much more to say about that, but definitely check it out if you want. At the very least, like watch a video to see what you're getting yourself into.
Looks fun.
And you're already going to get so much like entertainment value just watching other people play. It's so hilarious. Watch the Game Grumps play, right, Micah?
Oh, there you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because they were cracking up when they were playing this too. So, Battle Crush Spring 2024. Don't know what to say about that. Right? Yeah, please.
Yeah, I mean, what it got for me was that I wrote down, it reminds me of like Smash Brothers meets Fortnite.
Yeah.
In the way that's like, okay, it's a brawler and it's got the Fortnite aspect of the world's getting smaller and smaller around you. In this case, it's like the platform you're on. So I don't hate the idea, but it's not a game that I'm interested in. You know, I've just had enough of, I think, the battle royales. It's for me just too much, but I do appreciate the concept. I think it's a cool idea. It's just not something I want to play.
War Tales is a tactical RPG. It's out now. Don't really know what to say. Kind of looks cool. I do like the very classic, strategy RPG look for it. Probably a unique game to play on the Switch. Probably an interesting game to play, but I don't really have much to say about it. I might check it out though. I don't know. I'll look up some reviews on it. There's Contra Operation Galuga, early 2024, and let me look it up because I completely forgot what this game looked like.
I'm so excited for this.
Yeah, Dakin, please take it.
Dude, I am so excited. I looked at the little red area in the progress bar, the timeline of the direct, and I was like, how dare it be that short for this important, super important game? This was a total shock. I didn't know this was coming. And, it's a complete reimagining of Contra, but it looks like, if I'm not mistaken from the trailer, it integrates Contra, Super C, maybe elements of Contra 3, Alien Wars, and Konami. Say what you want about Konami, but if we're talking about classic Konami with modern way forward, this game's going to be friggin' amazing.
Oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, it's way forward. Way forward is just one of the best.
Can't do it any better
of classic genres. You know what? Now that I'm looking at what Operation Galuga was, I'm super excited for this one.
Day one.
Contra was such a seminal for folks our age. Dagan, like it's such a seminal like classic series. Yeah, just shoot her.
How did we not see this coming?
Yeah. Well, it's because Contra has been trash for so many years,
and Konami,
and right? Konami too. So it's like, but God bless Way Forward and everything they're doing for
sir.
Series. Micah, do you have any interest in Contra?
No, not really a game for me. Excited for the rest of you guys though, who have fond memories of it. That this is very nostalgic for, But for it's not my type of game.
Yeah. Next game, something that I'm mildly interested in because I really enjoyed the developer of Vanillaware. And we got a question from Mr. Brobot Brian. Hey, Punch Up Gang, can we just get a talk about how awesome Unicorn Overload looks? I just started 13 Sentinels, and I'm stoked for this. Vanillaware's art, I played other games on the Vita too, style is amazing. I'm certain Colin will eye this on the PS5. But which of the Punching Up Gang is going to play this on the Switch? I probably will, man.
Me too.
Yes.
Yeah, right. I'm a huge fan of Vanillaware's art style. I loved Odin Sphere so much. Odin Sphere is such a special game for me. And then there's also what was that? What was the Japanese samurai game that they made? Vanillaware Samurai.
I just had their Wikipedia up. I'll look.
Muramasa the Demon Blade. That was actually re-released. I think on the iPhone too, actually. Let me see if it was on the iPhone. I'm sorry, it was on the Vita. Yeah. And I actually got a Vita recently, and I actually have Muramasa downloaded. So I'm super excited for it. I started 13 Sentinels. It was a little too slow for me, and it came out at a busy time where I just couldn't focus on something. I think I was sick at the time too. So, but I'm still eager to get back into it. But I'm always going to celebrate a new Vanillaware game. There's no one makes games like quite like they do. So, Micah, you seem super excited.
Yeah, my notes, I wrote, this looks fantastic. I liked that they called it the rebirth of tactical fantasy RPGs. So I'm on board with this. As you mentioned, art style just looks awesome. Again, coming out in March. So it at first I was like, okay, March sounds all right because I'm thinking what else is coming out then. But as I'm reviewing the notes, it's like there's so much coming out in March. I was hoping for, a bit of a break in terms of the games coming out. And instead, it's like, this is coming out in March. The Peach game's coming out in March. So I'm just like, all right, I'm going to have to really crunch to play all of these. But very excited for this. Totally right up my alley.
Dagan, do you have any interest in this?
I mean, Atlas and Vanillaware, right?
Yeah,
it's Lennon and McCartney. Like, how can you not play this game? I've been a fan of Vanillaware from afar because I think Odin Sphere is the only game I actually played. But I love visually, I love everything they do. Atlas, when you're an old school gamer, you know that name. You know, it's that meant quality, right? And everybody's making fun of the name Unicorn Overlord. What's wrong with it? It's kind of cool.
Great to me. I don't know.
It's kind of weird, but I'll take it. It's a JRPG, right?
I mean,
right, it's allowed.
Octopath
It's
Traveler.
allowed.
Come on, what kind of name is that too, right? So
Exactly.
yeah. You should check out 13 Sentinels. Maybe dig in too, because you might have an interest in it. Because
I'll check it out.
I'm interested in. I want to play it because I feel like the game is saying something about. The game makes a specific focus about the year 1985.
Okay.
And they believe that it seems like the game is making an argument that 1985 was a seminal year for popular art. In terms of the movies that came out, the Terminator, everything. For books and everything, and how influential it was in science fiction.
Wow.
So I feel
this
like
sounds amazing.
Yeah. So because a lot of the characters are originate from 1985, and there's so much conversation. I didn't finish the game. I need, you know what? This is inspiring me. I think I'm going to reinstall it and finish it because I'm definitely in the mood for it, and I'm kind of looking for a new game. And we'll talk about what we're playing later on too.
Okay.
But yeah, that's it for Vanillaware. Really so excited that they're still going on. Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, summer 2024, another late release. I am kind of excited for this one only because I already played Luigi's Mansion 2. And I don't really have a strong desire. I'm glad that it's coming out and I'm glad that it'll be there. I haven't had the strongest desire to revisit it, but if it's there, I will revisit it. This was an interesting one because it's Luigi. It's basically several mansions that he's going through. So each mansion will have their own theme and their own world. And if anything, I actually kind of like that better than the approach Luigi's Mansion 3 did, where Luigi's Mansion 3 was just one big massive hotel with like several, like 30-some floors, like 20-some floors of like different pieces of levels. But I feel like that hopping from house to house just made more sense, and just like I miss I miss them architecting like a building, like a puzzle of a building, right? And they couldn't really do that with a massive tower hotel. But with different mansions, they can make it make sense in a way. So it's a very holistic design, where it's like, okay, here's the living room, here's the bathroom, here's the master bedroom, here's the other bedroom, that kind of stuff. Whereas in Luigi's Mansion 3, each floor was just like a different theme, you know? Like one theme was just a fucking desert, you know, like and everything. It's like that makes no sense within a house. I'm sorry, you know, or a hotel. So it feels like they were really just using that as an excuse to like play with all kinds of different ideas. But I like limitations and concepts, and being in a limited house, that's exciting. So I feel like if people who were got kind of put off by like Luigi's Mansion 3 like level design, I think you might like 2 better, because it's definitely better than it's better than part 1, I think. So any experience with part 2, guys?
No, you know, I watched all the Luigi's Mansions games. My son's a big mark for the series. I watched him play, you know, over his shoulder, some of the earlier games he's played, you know, on his own independently. And I always marveled at the mechanics, just like you were saying earlier, Gene, just good ideas, good concepts. I love using Luigi in this kind of format. And maybe I'll play. Maybe this will be a good opportunity to jump in and play myself, because super fun. I think the mechanics are so among some of the best, I think, as far as just originality and just fun, something different.
Yeah. And Luigi's Mansion 3 has been mine and reporter Jeff Grubb's metric for what a successful game is, because Luigi's Mansion 3 has sold 12 million copies. Which is incredible. That's more than Ghost of Tsushima. That's more than what we now know as Final Fantasy VII Remake, which should have been a blockbuster game, but sold 7 million. And that's over 3 years. And that Luigi's Mansion 3 had just sold almost twice as more, you know? And that's, you know, I always look at Luigi's Mansion, the series, as like what Nintendo does so well, you know? They create quality, attractive content for very cheap, and they can sell so much. So that's why Nintendo remains so profitable, because, you know, a game like The Last of Us 2 sold like what, 9 million, 10 million. But that, as we now understand it, that game's budget was 229 million. That's so much, you know?
It's massive. Yeah.
But, so think about the profit margins for a game like Luigi's Mansion that sold more than that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. When did that game come out? Do you remember?
Luigi's Mansion 3?
Yeah.
Luigi's Mansion 3 release.
Seems like
October 2019. So yeah, it's the same time as The Last of Us, I think, right? Last of Us 2 release 2020. Okay, it came out a year later. So both horror games technically.
Yeah,
and
right,
Luigi's
exactly.
Mansion 3 just Luigi's Mansion 3 just outsold it easily. Incredible stuff. A couple of notes here. Nintendo Museum is in Japan. Out of reach for us. But again, really, really showcasing how Nintendo is kind of like broadening its sphere to kind of just not be that Nintendo is really obviously trying to honor its legacy, and I really appreciate that. And it's another tourist spot, I guess, for all of us to visit.
Hey, if Ghibli has a museum, right, we could go to Kyoto and see Nintendo. What is with that architectural rendering that they showed, though? It's all white. It's so sterile. It was like the parking lot POV with like buses. It was like, where is the fun? I love the top of the building with the question mark block.
Yeah, but it's very, very plain looking. Yeah, you're right. It reminds me of like a presidential library or something. I'm just just a very boring, like, because all presidential libraries don't look that great either.
Yeah, that's a good point. It did. It looked completely like office.
Maybe they're trying to go for that thing where they're just like, you know what, we don't need it to be like this massive, like, interesting architected building. But yeah,
that's
right,
interesting.
That was
integrated into the neighborhood, just make it look low key.
Yeah, but the Nintendo Kyoto office looks so it just looks so plain from the outside.
Yes,
too, and we
it
have
really
no idea
does. You're right.
We have no idea what it looks like inside. My friends Kit
it's
and
like
Krista,
warp pipes and stuff.
Yeah. My friends Kit and Krista, they work directly for Nintendo PR, and they tried to do a video of visiting the Kyoto HQ office and do a tour of it. And the only tour they could have was the outside parking lot and the prayer room inside and the lobby. That's it. Those are the only three places they could film. That's it. They could not go inside.
That's incredible.
They couldn't show anything. They couldn't show the cafeteria. They couldn't show anything at all. So
covert.
Yeah, very, 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 very secretive company over there. It's more secretive than the Pentagon, I imagine. I've been in the Pentagon too, so.
Yeah, that's right. It's your neck of the woods, baby.
Yeah. Bunch of amiibo coming out. Pretty exciting for folks like me and Dustin and Micah too, I think, right? Micah, do you collect amiibo? I forget.
Oh yeah, I do collect some amiibo, so I'm always just happy to see more. This Ganon amiibo, all right, so as I wrote down hot Ganon, so that would be one I would maybe buy. I wish Dustin was here to talk about these because he would just be losing his mind. Or the Sora one.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for that one too. I'm not even really a big Kingdom Hearts fan. I'm definitely more on the side of I don't really understand it that well,
I don't think anyone does.
Yeah, but Dustin would have gone crazy for it. I'm actually really excited for the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 amiibo. I love Noah and Mio.
They look cool.
They're such cool character designs.
Cool character designs.
They're so cool. You love these characters too, and they fall in love. And like for me, that they're one of the most believable video game romances I've ever had. Like by the end of the game, I was like bawling at the fact that they loved each other. Like I was like, they love each other so much, and I'm crying. Like it was like, I don't know. You can't. It's hard to explain. Anyways, I'm really excited for that. F-Zero 99, and we have a lot of questions on this from Emmett. Hey folks, as a massive F-Zero fan, I felt mixed emotions for F-Zero 99. I put hundreds of hours into GX, which came out something like 20 years ago. So I'll obviously take whatever I can get, but this doesn't cut it after all this time. F-Zero deserves more. How are you guys feeling about F-Zero 99? Cheers. And Fozzie Bear says, hey, Brickfist and Buds. Can F-Zero 99 pave the way finally for a new F-Zero game? I personally had reservations about the 99 player bonanza, but it surprisingly works for F-Zero. I'm having a lot of fun, and I hope enough people play to convince Nintendo to make a new F-Zero, or at least a remaster of my beloved F-Zero GX. Dearly, Fozzie. Now, my history with F-Zero is just the original one. Which I love for the Super Nintendo. So F-Zero 99 is obviously like a battle royale type of thing. I haven't played it yet. Have you guys tried it out?
No, I forgot it was out. It's out.
Yeah, I'm excited because I do see a lot of positive buzz around it. People seem to be having a blast with it.
Oh, good.
That's great. And I do think, Fozzie, that this is a test run for Nintendo to see, hey, how well will the F-Zero game actually sell? And there's been rumors that there is some kind of F-Zero kind of thing going on. F-Zero is the genesis of Mario Kart, really.
Yeah.
F-Zero was created, and they thought, hey, this game is great, but we should make a game that's a little bit more casual, a little bit more action oriented, and have Mario in it, basically, you know. And so the same technology that created for F-Zero 99, the Mode 7 spinning around, everything like that.
Yeah, dude.
So Dagon, yeah, I don't have a lot. I did not play F-Zero GX. You know, the GameCube era, as I think Dagon and I both, it kind of skipped a lot of us, you know. And F-Zero GX was just not a game that I played. You know, I played a lot of GameCube, but F-Zero GX, I just wasn't that interested in. It looks cool, and I kind of wish I did play it. And so that's why I am really, really hoping for a remaster, because I would love to be able to revisit it. So I'm excited to try 99, but Dagan, what do you think about it?
I think it's coming. I think there's an F-Zero game coming. I think this is foreshadowing. I think there's something in the offing. Again, I think they're taking people's temperatures, but F-Zero 99 looks super fun.
Mm-hmm.
I did play GX. GX was probably one of the 12 GameCube games I actually did play, but I really had a love affair with the 16-bit version of F-Zero. It was so good, but 99 racers at once, it's pure chaos. That's insanity. Yeah. It looks so frustrating. I bet it's super fun. By the time we do another show, our next episode, I'll weigh in. Maybe we could all weigh in and see what we think, but I definitely think this is kind of setting the table for something to come. I know a lot of people were expecting an F-Zero thing, especially when this went up, you know, the first thing, like, let's show the 16-bit, then it's going to spin to what we're getting. And there was a lot of disappointment, but I think this is just a holdover. I think this is just a teaser, like an appetizer. And I got to say, man, it looks fun. And I mean, what better way to test your mettle than against 98 other people? Mm-hmm. Should be fun.
Yeah. I think I'll try it out today for sure. So, Micah, any interest?
Yeah, I'm surprised at myself for being, interested in this, only because, as I mentioned before, like battle royale type things, I'm a little over it at this point. But this did just look hectic and fun. That appeals to me a great deal. So this is one I would check out.
Cool. We got a bunch of games that we're just going to run through real quick. Please stop me if you have any strong feelings about them. Bandle Tale, a League of Legends story for 2024, just general. A Song of Nunu, a League of Legends story. I like Nunu as a word. It's a good word. I guess it reminds me of Snoo Snoo, right? The classic Futurama. Do you guys like
I think
Futurama?
That's what my daughter used to call a female private part.
Nunu? Nunu or Snoo Snoo?
I'm pretty sure that was Nunu.
Nunu? Yeah. You know what? That sounds about right, honestly. You know?
And this is Song of Nunu, so okay.
Yeah.
Weird.
WarioWare Move It. New WarioWare, you know. November 3rd, 2023. Should be a fun party game.
It looks fun.
Yeah. Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, April 23rd, 2024. Excited for that one. I'm also excited for the Suikoden 1 and 2 to come out, but that's so way off. Micah, you're a JRPG person. Is that something you're interested in?
Yeah, I wrote down on this one, this is a must buy. I really liked that it said, you collect kind of more characters along the way, standard, but just appreciate that they kind of put it out there of how many characters you meet along the way. And then also, you're tending crops, opening shops in your little town. I like that type of stuff. I really enjoy that aspect of you're kind of building up this little world of yours, your little town, maybe your settlement.
Oh my god!
So this is one I definitely am going to get.
It's so cool because that happened in Suikoden 2, Suikoden 1 and 2, where every character, you would run into a merchant, you would solve their quests, and they're like, "Yeah, I'll join," and then boom, you have a weapon shop in your castle. Boom, you got a cafeteria and a dining hall. It's so cool. It's so cool. You really feel like a master of community there. So I'm super excited for that one. And I'm glad that they're still continuing that one. There's Eastward Octopia, winter 2023. Wargroove 2, 5th October 2023. Dave the Diver, October 26th, 2023. I'm excited for that one because I like Dave the Diver. It's actually one of my top 10 favorite games of all time, or not all time, of 2023. Have you guys heard of Dave the Diver?
No, where did you play it, Gene?
On Steam.
Steam, okay.
Yeah. So Dave is a diver, obviously, and he is asked by his friends to go diving at a specific spot in the ocean. And this is a magical spot in the ocean because it has fish from every single ocean and sea in the world popping up in this one spot. And they want Dave to go catch all kinds of fish so they can open a sushi restaurant, the best sushi restaurant in the world, because you have all the fish in the world right there,
that
fresh,
premise. So fun,
fresh, delicious. So it's part dive shooting game where you're diving in and shooting for fish, and you have to manage your oxygen and everything like that. And it's also part business management sim because you also have to run the sushi restaurant.
That's cool.
And so you have to serve people like drinks and sushi and everything like that. It makes me so hungry. I'm already getting hungry for sushi. I haven't eaten today either.
I'm starving now.
Yeah, I know. So we'll get through this. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Pass Wave 6. We're never gonna get Mario Kart 9 ever.
What is happening?
I don't know. Among Us Fungal Map. Among Us is there, and then the finale. The great finale, the one that got people so excited, and I'm fairly excited for this too. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, 2024, remastered, remade. This is the only Paper Mario that I finished. Oh, actually, no, I finished Super Paper Mario 2 for the Wii, but this one I liked more. It has such great characters, and this is probably right under Super Mario RPG as the best of that series. So. Yeah, really, really excited to see this come back. This is one that everyone's been waiting for. Everyone with huge GameCube nostalgia, because I feel like Wind Waker and Thousand Year Door and maybe F-Zero GX are the 3 games that people have been like asking for, and now we're finally getting Paper Mario, and that's one of them. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for this one. I've never been one of those people who needed a Thousand Year Door remake because I enjoyed it in the GameCube, and like that's where it was, right? And it's not a game that I feel like I want to revisit. But then I see Goombella, my homegirl Goombella. She's a second-year archaeological major going at the University of Goom, and she kisses Mario all the time, and she's so adorable. So now we get to see Goombella kisses in HD, and I'm pretty excited about that. So, Micah, what was your reaction to Thousand Year Door?
Oh, very excited. I have never played a Paper Mario game.
This is the one. This is the one to play.
And also I'm watching the trailer and it looks so funny. Like I genuinely had moments like I laughed at it where the little animations and just the combat it looks really fun, but just genuinely like laughable moments presented here. So I'm all about that. This is very exciting for me, and one that it's one of those games that, yeah, everyone tells me to go play, but what's the easy way to go play it, right? So here it is. I can already hear people screeching, though. They're like, they're going to buy the same game again. It's like, but not me. Never bought it once. This is my first time buying the game. So I'm all for it.
I rented it back then, so I never owned it. So this was actually my first time buying it. So yeah, not a big deal for me. And dude, you haven't bought this in 20 years, guys. Come on.
It's a long time.
Come on, guys. Like this game hasn't been out for over 20 years, and they're releasing a new version. I think the only concern is that it was 30 FPS in the trailer. So we don't know anything about that, but I don't care. It's an RPG, guys. Come on. Dagan, did you play this one in your GameCube?
Yeah, this is one of the other 11 GameCube games I actually played, and I loved it. You know what my biggest association with Paper Mario in general is, though? I remember when Super Mario 64 came out, and again, I was lamenting the 3D era, young animation student Dagan, and a little time had passed, and I found myself saying, like, they should do another 2D Mario, but really double down on the 2D. Like paper, dog-eared, paper airplanes, and then god damn it, this game came out, and I was like, you could never have an idea that they don't have. It's impossible. I'm thinking of ideas now that I think will be fresh. I know Miyamoto has it somewhere scribbled down already. Like they know. It's like we know. We know it. And they did this game in the height of the 3D era. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
It was so anti 3D, right?
So anti.
It's so beautifully like anti. It's almost punk rock, Like
it is.
It's like it's paper, Come on, And Michael, you're so correct that it's very funny. I think Nintendo is underrated as a comedy development studio. Especially with the Mario RPG, Paper Mario, even Paper Mario Origami King was hilarious. It made me laugh out loud, and Paper Mario made me laugh out loud. Super Mario RPG. This is where they just really cut their chops as comedians, the game developer as a comedian,
So good.
And I'm super excited for more people to see it or even to revisit it. I'm excited to revisit it too. Day one for me easily. It's not something that I was asking for, but like it's such a good game that you can't help but celebrate. And that's it. That's the Nintendo Direct. I had a question earlier, but I deleted it, and sorry about that. But like, how do we feel about this as the final Swan Song Switch year? I guess, right? For me, I think it's good. I think this is so much content, at least in terms of remakes and remasters, and it's clearly the end of it. It just reminds me of the end of the PS2 era, right? Where we were getting games that were releases, collections, and also God of War 2. And I think God of War 2 was like the swan song of the PS2. I think Tears of the Kingdom is going to be looked at as the swan song for the Switch, unless Super Mario Wonder just blows the doors off, which it very well could, right? But I think in terms of like the grand epic adventure, it's obviously going to be Tears of the Kingdom. But what do you guys think? Just to wrap things up here.
Yeah, I just want to say with
I'm
like
still
Mario
used to
Kart
being
8
a host,
Deluxe.
so I have to be like,
You're doing great. You're doing great.
I'm just like, say whatever,
We're doing fine. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, with them saying it's the final booster pack, all right? And it's like, it really is ending. Maybe we'll finally get a new Mario Kart. But they made people wait this long to get Funky Kong, all right? Like one of the all-time great racers. And they made them wait this long. So that really is the send-off that the Switch needs. You finally got Funky Kong in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But this is a pretty good list. As we kind of went through this, there's a lot of stuff that we weren't really interested in. There's a lot of stuff that didn't really grab our attention. But the heavy hitters, I think, are a really great send-off for the Switch. If that indeed is what's happening, as we think. I think we have a lot of good stuff here. Certainly enough to keep me occupied for the next several months. And, as these releases go into spring, summer next year, I'm looking forward to several games. So I'm quite content with what we got here.
Yeah. Diggin, how do you feel? How would you think about the final year, possibly?
I mean, you guys are making me laugh about Mario Kart 8. Mario Kart 8 is so bad that it has surpassed, and this was hard to do, it surpassed Street Fighter 2 and just being like, what the fuck? Where is the next game? Remember Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition, hyper fighting, new challenge. That's right. Like, where is Street Fighter 3?
We haven't had a game like that where it's like, wow, they're really milking this one game for all its worth.
This is it. It's so ridiculous. It's like, and you know what? It's building the anticipation for Mario Kart 9 to such a degree. Is like, how can it ever live up to it?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I think in terms of the most anticipated sequels in gaming, there's Grand Theft Auto 6, which would cause like actual like riots and like like city lockdowns and everything like that. Like I firmly believe that people will lose their minds completely over Grand Theft Auto 6.
Massive.
But Mario Kart 9, that's the other one. Like, because both games are being milked for both games are about 10 years old. Actually, GTA 5 is 10 years old today.
God, I think that you're right.
Yeah, 10 years old today, and then Mario Kart 8 is 9 years old, but it's going to be 10
That's
years.
Insane.
It's going to be 10 years in like spring, right? And both games are huge sellers. They're still selling. They're still topping the charts. And yeah, you're absolutely right that the build up for both games, but Mario Kart 9 especially, there's no game in Nintendo's catalog that is more anticipated or would be more exciting than Mario Kart 9.
I mean, is it shooting themselves in the foot, or is it just endlessly clever? I don't even know.
I guess there's Smash. Smash Brothers would be the other one too.
Yeah, sure.
But Mario Kart is the bigger franchise, though. It sells more.
Oh my God. Yeah, and I get it. It is awesome, and I love that we're going out. Nintendo's saying yes, next hardware generation, obviously, but look, there's still a lot to look forward to, both on the official Nintendo front and other stuff, which is cool. And there's room for more than one swan song. I think I do think we have the better part of a year still to go with the Switch, and we'll be going out playing good games. And that's it's been such an interesting year for Nintendo to see them sort of at the top of their game. Yeah, and that they don't seem to be coming down.
2023 has been a hell of a year for Nintendo for sure.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
so cool. Who knew?
Yeah, exactly. Like yeah, it's wild to see them do so well this late in the console cycle. So
sure.
Yeah, I really do think that they lived up to their idea of redefining the console cycle. Maybe not the length of it, but at least the terms of quality that you can have throughout the lifestyle or the life cycle. So let's wrap things up with what have we've been playing and some water cooler questions and some fun ones. But what have you been playing? For me, I'll go real quick because there's not a lot going on. I'm playing Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty. Just making my way slowly through that. I'm a huge Cyberpunk fan. The only issue for me is that it's a little triggering for me because I played Cyberpunk while I was sick, and it was such a comforting thing. And then so now when I return to it, and Cyberpunk is about a guy who has a fatal disease, basically. So it's pretty tough, but I do want to play it and I'm having fun. I kind of put Starfield on hold, and I haven't played any Switch at all, man. So I'm really, really excited for October when that Mario Wonder is going to come out, and Mario RPG, like that's going to keep me busy. And of course, Sea of Stars is waiting right there. I'm really, really excited to eventually dive into that. And that's a good transition to Micah, which I believe you're still playing Sea of Stars too. So what have you been playing?
Yes, so Sea of Stars, I hit the 20-hour mark. I got totally hooked. There's a mini game called Wheels in Sea of Stars, and it happened to me like in Witcher 3 with playing Gwent, the card game, where I just went on a total tangent of like, I'm just gonna go play Gwent for several hours, like just forget the main mission, forget all the side quests. We're playing Gwent for 3 hours at a time. And that happened to me with Sea of Stars. I got so hooked on this mini game that I got to a point in the game where I could go play like several people in a row, essentially. It's just one of ththose like tavern, innkeep type games. So I just went on a total tangent and started playing Wheels for just hours, loving it. Because once you get the hang of it, it's a ton of fun. So the story is still fantastic, won't spoil anything, but totally recommend it to everybody. The active combat system that we talked about earlier of like, if you time your hit right, you'll do extra damage. If you time the block correctly, you save yourself a bit of damage. It really just adds more engagement to the turn-based combat for me, which can sometimes be so passive that I love turn-based games, but I can see where it's easy to get distracted because it is a bit more of a passive approach. This keeps you so engaged the whole time. So I definitely recommend that to everybody. And I checked out the Dave the Diver demo because I saw that in the direct that there was a demo for it.
Cool.
And it's a lot of fun.
It's cute, right?
It's
all
very
made by
cute.
Koreans too, by the way.
It.
So.
Oh, really?
It was weirdly violent. And by that, I just mean like you go down in the ocean, you have like a harpoon gun to like spear the fish. And there's like a thud and a cloud of blood pops out of the fish. And I just wasn't expecting it. I just wasn't expecting it to be so violent. It's very fun. It's more difficult than I anticipated. The like restaurant management part, if you love those like old computer games like Diner Dash, if you loved that as much as I did back in the day, like those little cafe games where you're serving up dishes and stuff, this is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the demo. I was not expecting the violence, but I'm liking it. So this game has a lot more to it than I anticipated. I think I'll be picking this one up when it's available.
Maybe I should check out Sea of Stars soon. Maybe I should just get on that now. So, Dagan, what have you been playing? Halo 3. You just finished Halo 3.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, just finished Halo 3. I feel like a bona fide Xbox gamer now, even though I'm playing everything on Steam. Yeah, it's so crazy. They're so
you playing
fun.
On Steam? That's great.
I played everything on Steam so far. Still never played an Xbox console in my life at all. Not once. And I have 3 consoles. I just never played them. It's so great. It's so weird. I'm such a strange dude. But Halo, it's so fun to just be in the know now because those first 3 Halo games at least were so fun. Halo 3, I think Colin likes 2 the best so far, but 3 for me was the most fun. It was so brisk, 10-hour game, felt like 5. Looked forward to playing it. We're playing Alan Wake now.
Oh, that's right.
For our talk on Tuesday. I decided to jump in and just play the original, do the purist thing. And Colin asked me like 2 or 3 hours in, how you liking it so far? And I gotta tell you, man, it was a rare, slow burn for me. I didn't like it at first. And eventually...
It kind of takes a while to get going. That's right.
Yeah, eventually they got me. Now I really look forward to it. Like I'll probably finish it tonight. I'm really looking forward to jumping back in. But I'm glad I like it. Very inventive, feels like Misery, The Shining, maybe a little bit of a touch of History of Violence in there, Straw Dogs. Like it has a lot of Hitchcock. There's a lot of thematic, inventive stuff tied in. If you're a movie fan, I think, especially horror movies, there's a lot of that in there. So good. And I'm really enjoying that. For the Switch, I want to hit you guys with a question on the way out with this, but I've been playing Illusion Island. I mentioned I got the physical copy. It's just really a fun game to just jump in casually. It reminds me a lot of Sonic, a little slower, but sort of that non-violent platformer, very fluid. I love it's beautiful art style. I've been enjoying that. I had to stop with Vampire Survivors. It was so weird. I'm going to show you guys. I was having I'm not a carpal tunnel-y type guy usually. I usually don't get bothered by it, but Vampire Survivors, I was playing let's say 3 games a day, averaging 10 minutes apiece. I'm not that good at it yet. Right? And my left, I don't know if it's the thumbstick or what, but my left thumb leading up into my wrist was really bothering me at night for a day, for a 24-hour period. Now, it wasn't that big of a deal. It's not my drawing hand, but it was definitely Vampire Survivors because nothing else bothered. And I don't know if it's just mashing on that left side. Because again, you're just using the thumbstick. You're just using
the stick and confirm. That's it.
That's it.
To confirm. That's it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Right. So choose your upgrades and confirm. And so I had to stop, and I'm really pissed because I want to hit that as I'm unlocking things and unlocking characters. I really, really want to hit that 20-minute mark.
Try the iPhone version. It's free, first of all.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and you get power-ups if you watch ads. That's how they make their money.
Oh,
but it's free and it's just touchscreen. You just control the guy again, which is just by moving it up. So you can use anything you like.
Okay.
But if you want more Vampire Survivors and you don't mind abandoning your Switch run, it's so iPhone or iPad too.
Oh, that's a great idea.
You could try playing with your feet. Use the big toes on the thumbsticks.
Or you
try
just
that
palm
out.
it too. Just you don't have to. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Very rare that happens to me, but it was definitely that, and I don't know if I'm just stressing. I don't know.
My hands started to hurt in Final Fantasy 16, but fortunately, I spoke to some of my younger friends, and their hands are also hurt too. So I think it just
so it's not
I think it's just the intensity of Final Fantasy 16 that did it for me. So
you know what, Micah, you reminded me too. The last time I got addicted to an in-game thing was with, oddly enough, Final Fantasy 8. Triple Triad,
bro.
Dude, I was like a degenerate gambler. I would have lost everything if it was real life. Yeah. I would find myself getting home from work and I'd be like, I don't even want to play this game. I just want to walk in and play Triple Triad. I don't know if it was the theme song. I don't know what the hell it was, but there was a 3-week period where I was worried. I was like, this is not good.
Yeah. So my buddies at the Super Best Friends, the now defunct Super Best Friends channel that I talked about earlier, they had a whole video, a whole let's play of Final Fantasy VIII. But the only thing they showed was them playing Triple Triad. And then in Final Fantasy VIII, you can challenge literally anybody, including the final boss, to the card game. So it's hilarious that the narrative of the video is that let's play Final Fantasy VIII, and they're into the story or whatever. And then when you first get the tutorial of Triple Triad, it's what is this? Oh, it's a side game, whatever. And then they just get hooked on it, and then the entire hour, the next several hours are just clips of them playing and challenging everyone to Triple Triad.
That's brilliant.
All you hear is that theme song over and over again, starting over and over again. It's really funny. I'll send that to you. I'll send you that and Trombone.
Please send me that.
Yeah.
I have to watch that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I'm so glad that you brought that up because I was going to bring that up, but I forgot about it because when Michael brought that up, I was like, of course, it's Triple Triad. That's what we all think about. It's either Gwent. Gwent was basically the sequel of Triple Triad in terms of spirit.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, in terms of how people got addicted to it, and it became the main game for a lot of people. And that's Final Fantasy VIII was really the first game that did that because a lot of people didn't really like Final Fantasy VIII as a game in general. But Triple Triad was really, 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 really tough to let go of. So
yeah, it's true. Nobody cared about the gold saucer. It was all right, gold saucer, Final Fantasy VII. But Triple Triad, then they were no, we're gonna make you all you're all going to Gamblers Anonymous after this.
All right. Well, we got some questions to wrap things up. It's gone on longer than I expected, actually. So, gosh.
It's been fun.
Got a question from Jeffrey Carlson. Greetings, Punch Crew. Listening to the Final Fantasy III knockback and wanting a job system with story. Was wondering if any of you played Bravely Default 2 and thoughts. The job system is essentially the story in that one. Mostly classic JRPG gameplay with a unique graphical look. This one mainly for Dagon, but interested in everyone's feedback if they played it. Cheers, Jeff. I picked this one because I feel like Micah would also be interested in it too. But this one's for Dagon too. What do you think? I played Bravely Default 2 for a bit, but I didn't get really far. I was maybe like 3-4 hours into it. But I definitely agree that it's fun and it's definitely like kind of the spiritual successor to classic Final Fantasy. But I feel like Octopath Traveler has kind of replaced that for me. So, but Dagon, have you played Bravely Default at all?
I have not. That's a huge backlog one for me. I remember when the first one came out, and my ears were definitely pricked, and I was like, "Oh shit!" That was like 2012 or something. Then when the second one, I believe that when the second one came out, it was one YouTuber that I was watching a lot at the time. Might have been Pro Jared, and he did a thing on Bravely Default 2, and I was like, I have to play this. It might have been 2 years ago or something. I was like, I have to play this game. This game looks amazing, but I never did. Never did.
Pro Jared, oh my god! I actually watched his content, but there was a while where I didn't because I've seen his cock.
Yeah, I remember this
game.
Didn't
age.
Yeah, so he was sending his like dick pics to like his fans who were like younger. I don't think they were underage.
It was not good.
But yeah,
it was
so I just
egregious.
couldn't watch his content anymore without thinking about his cock, which is pretty.
He's
big.
Back though, right?
He's back and he's making content again, and I've actually started watching it because like he's a good faucet of information. I wish I didn't. I wish I chose.
He's back in full swing.
I wish I chose a different word. Back in full swing of things. Yeah, just lay that all on the table.
Sorry, Jared.
Micah, have you played Bravely Default? Is that something that interested you?
So I played Bravely Second. And I wasn't a big fan of it. It's actually one of the rare games that I didn't finish. And I probably played it for 20 hours, but I didn't end up finishing it, which is super rare for me. But I wanted to like it a lot, but those games are famous for like having a ton of backtracking. And I just got sick of it, right? So I didn't end up finishing that game. When I saw that, Bravely Default 2 was coming out, I just wasn't interested because I thought they're probably going to do the same thing again I feel like every JRPG, has a degree of backtracking, but it's egregious in these titles. Yeah. And I just was like, I'm not doing this again. It just wasn't appealing to me at this point.
Yeah, I get that. When you hear about a game that takes up a lot of time, like as much as I push Xenoblade Chronicles, like I totally get like being afraid of like the 100-hour like time limit because like right Xenoblade Chronicles was feeling pretty long at the end too, right, Micah?
Yeah, no, it got to a point where I was ready for it to be over, and I do think that's why as soon as I saw that the DLC existed, the sort of like satisfying feeling that I just completed this great experience kind of like whooshed over me, like I can't do anymore. Yeah. Like it really just needs to be over. This was enough.
Exactly. Yeah, I had a lot of time last year, which is why I was able to get through 2 and 3. But yeah, definitely a time commitment. Bravely Default 2 as well. So this is a fun one. Joshua Carew asks, "Hey Pokepunks, I want to talk about favorite soundtracks. I'm an '80s baby and chiptune composer. Hey, that's cool. You're with a high affinity for classic NES and SNES jams.
That's awesome.
Konami with the Castlevanias, Sunsoft with Batman, hell yeah. Capcom's Mega Man series, obviously, are among some of my favorites from the 8-bit generation. As for the 16-bit era, it was safe to say that anything Squaresoft related was a guaranteed banger. Yasunori Mitsuda, Chrono Trigger, and Xenoblade Chronicles, and Nobuo Uematsu, Final Fantasy being stand-up composers, in my opinion, obviously. Do yourself a favor and look into anything by Tim Fallon during the NES era. Silver Surfer, Pictionary, Treasure Master, and more. Yes, I agree. Silver Surfer was an amazing soundtrack. Stupidly hard game. Do you remember that Dayan?
I do.
Surfer? Yeah. Famously stupid hard game.
But the music was incredible.
Music was incredible. Oh my god. What are some OST or composers, new or old, that you all love? Thanks to the whole Ellison family for being a fantastic group for folks. Let's Nintendo go. I like that, Joshua. I like this because I love video game music so much. Video game music was really the Nobuo Uematsu was the composer that got me into classical music. Like it really opened my mind into progressive rock too, because so much of what he does was like progressive rock type style. So that's when I started getting into Dream Theater and even Incubus at the time, and of course Rush. But and then I started really understanding classical music as well too, and it was really because of Uematsu's influence. And it's not even Uematsu isn't even a good classical music composer. He's such a good pop writer, because a lot of the music, of course, is orchestration, but you can hear the chorus and the verses in each of his songs. The leitmotifs that just return. And we'll talk more about Final Fantasy music later, but yeah, that and Yoko Shimomura that we mentioned earlier. She made Street Fighter, she made Xenoblade Chronicles, she made all these other games. Those are I feel like the Japanese composers are really the best in the industry, and that's why it really disappoints me every time in the Game Awards that the Japanese games don't get a lot of love there. Like God of War Ragnarok won soundtrack of the year or scored the musical score of the year last year, and that was against Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And
wow.
Like I feel like a lot of people even heard the medley of the Game of the Year medley, and people were like, "Whoa, I never played Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but that piece of music that I heard was amazing." And it's like, yeah, that's the whole soundtrack, guys. And God of War Ragnarok, which is a good soundtrack, don't get me wrong, but it's very like drony, like that. It's like you've heard that before, man.
Yeah, it's true. That's a good point.
It's not really new. It's not very exciting. It's not electric. So I really feel like the Japanese composers are really the ones that are really pushing things. Again, like I mentioned progressive rock and progressive metal because that's what a lot of Japanese composers were doing. As opposed to Western composers, they're very trying to be cinematic, and it's a little boring. Whereas Japanese composers, they're just like rocking out. There's a lot of hip hop. Look at the soundtrack for Cyberpunk, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk too. It's incredible. They do hip hop really well too. So, Diggin, I'll start with you. Composers for you.
Oh man, I mean, I think about especially like the 8-bit and 16-bit video game generations, and even some of the arcade stuff. I mean, that's like the soundtrack to me growing up, like so important, just as important as what we were playing on
Koji Kondo from Nintendo, obviously the composers of Zelda and Nintendo. I mean, come on,
legendary. I mean, and to be composing music for those formats too, I just feel like it had to be extra special. It wasn't the same that sort of level of quality and integrity yet and everything like that. So I think about Uematsu, of course, especially through like Final Fantasy VII, like the epitome of stuff. I think of Yuzo Koshiro, right? I think of Ys Book 1 and 2. I mean, I think Holders of Power is still probably my favorite song. And I'm not even a big Ys guy, but that's probably my favorite video game song ever. And then Revenge of Shinobi and Sonic and Streets of Rage. That's just reminds me of being 17 again.
Exactly. Again, Streets of Rage was really into like this underground electronic movement that wasn't really that popular back in the 90s, but he was listening to it and he was popularizing it in Streets of Rage. And now it's obviously all edge. The quote unquote rage now. But he was advanced. He was listening to those underground DJs back then.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, there was something really contemporary about it that you didn't expect from a video game. It's like, wow, this sounds just like contemporary electro music or house music or techno or whatever. And then I think of just Capcom in general. I think of like Mega Man X series, Street Fighter, Final Fight. And then I'm reminded that was like their Capcom's in-house band, who I think probably dissolved in the late 90s, maybe the early aughts. Alf Lyla, who was like a bunch of composers, like 5 or 6 people that did all the music for all those games for the arcade and the home consoles. And it's just, there's such a set specific sound, but there was always a lot of creativity, and again, always sounding contemporary, always rocked, always fit the game. And just as important as the graphics and the gameplay and the visual presentation was that music was just such a big part of what made those games so memorable. So those are the ones I think of immediately, especially the older stuff where it's, now it's a little different. You could get actual symphonic music. It's not, the 8-bit version, but back then I just felt like it took a little extra something, to make something memorable. And I still love chiptunes.
Yeah, me too. I love the modern chiptune movement. It's amazing. I also want to give a shout out to Ghibli composer Joe Hisaishi, who also did the soundtrack for Ni no Kuni. They're not games that I really love, but I mean, he scored, Howl's Moving Castle, Spirited Away. He scored, some of my favorite Beat Takeshi movies like Brother, Kikuchiro. So
Ni
like
no
he's just,
Kuni's a great call.
yeah, he's such a great composer. But Micah, how about you? Any composers come to mind?
I can't name specific composers, but I can name, favorite game soundtracks. I Am Setsuna is the first one that comes to mind. That was one of the games that I would actually actively listen to that soundtrack in the real world. Like, I really was just like, I need to hear that song again. Like, I Am Setsuna, the music just sets the tone so wonderfully, and the songs really got stuck in my head. Persona 5,
Of course.
incredible soundtrack. Those are songs I still find myself singing in the shower. I love the Persona 5 soundtrack. It's another one where I found myself actually seeking out the music to listen to outside of the game. And then two that I own on vinyl. I own the Witcher 3 soundtrack. Bought that at PAX East one year. And that's just a really awesome piece of the collection. I'm a huge Witcher 3 fan. Of course, the music in that game incredibly important to setting the tone with every battle and encounter. And that vinyl set is just awesome. It's got like the Leshen on the cover of it, which is my favorite monster in the game. And then I was gifted the Stardew Valley vinyl soundtrack, which is just another really cool collector's piece. I adore Stardew Valley, and it's an awesome set with all the different colors of the discs there. But those are ones that are just very special to me in terms of, for those two in particular are more collector's pieces than I love the soundtrack as much as like Persona 5 or I Am Setsuna. But they're things that I would never part with in my collection. They're like incredibly important to me.
Cool. Yeah, Persona 5 is awesome. I actually like the Persona 4 soundtrack a little bit more. It's a little bit more poppy. I love J-pop, and if anything, I really like the end credits song for Persona 4 so much that I feel like it's just better than all of Persona 5 soundtrack. But Persona 5 is incredible too. Like both soundtracks are soundtracks that you can just listen to on your own. You just can't get them out of your head.
I know those soundtracks, and I didn't play either one of those games.
Exactly.
That says a lot.
Yeah.
We
got a few more questions here. One from me from Sergio De Vivo. Gene, give me your FF7 Rebirth impressions. Rumors that FF7 remake integrate would be on the Switch too. So it's sort of applicable here, I guess. No, I'm not reaching. You are. Anyway, that gold saucer too. Though. Thanks, Sergio. Real quick on my thoughts on Final Fantasy Rebirth. Looks great. I'm super excited about all the mini games. I think I tweeted that out. FF7 was like mini game heaven, obviously in the golden saucer too. So I'm really, really excited. I don't know what to expect with the story. Aerith is showing up in places that she shouldn't be, so that's always interesting.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm excited because I became friend with the voice actor for Aerith, Brianna White, and so I'm just really excited to hear more of her work too. So I don't know if you guys have any FF7 thoughts, but we can just move on.
Anything FF7 is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything. Give it to me.
I'm just going to address this one real quick from Timmy Token. Good day, puppers. A month ago, I left my house for work to realize on my commute that I left my headphones at home. So I figured Allison's family-friendly podcast, Punching Up, would be safe to blast out loud. For context, I work outside, so I only needed to be concerned about passersby casually going about their day. Imagine my embarrassment when it nears the end of the podcast when Gene turns to Dustin regarding his Nami statue and says, "Show us your tits." I've never ducked in the covers so fast in my entire life. Needless to say, I've learned my lesson and have remembered my headphones every day since. Don't forget your headphones, Timmy. I'm glad that I taught you that lesson. Glad that me screaming titties are teaching you that. I'm primarily a PlayStation fan, but I spent 150 hours with Tears of the Kingdom. That's amazing this year, and enjoy hearing from all of you lovely people on the podcast. Keep up the great work and have an amazing day.
Nice.
So, Timmy, I'm sorry. I realize I also cursed in the first maybe 10 minutes of this episode. So I don't know how much YouTube will love that too. But hey, we'll try to be family friendly. But
I don't know about the Tomb Raider segment really got off the rails, Gene. So I don't know.
Tomb Raider
I think we've
and
lost
Pro
our
Jared.
family-friendly edge.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Pro Jared's
Pro Jared.
Pro Jared's pro.
But listen, what better compliment
probe.
can there be for a podcast that somebody is so compelled to listen that they still need to listen to it without their headphones?
Yeah. So
That's
you
true.
also paid the price for your audacity of listening to something out loud in public.
Mhm.
I feel like we punished you accordingly, although you were being loyal. So I'm not, listen, I don't want to beat you up too badly.
Yeah.
But there's so many squeaky clean Nintendo podcasts, right? At first, I thought we talked about this early on. At first, I thought maybe we should stay that course, and then I realized this is never going to work. So let's just go with
it's not going to work
Crunchy.
with me on board either, too. So let's. Yeah, but thank you, Timmy, for listening to us, and sorry about it to anyone else who might be listening to this with their family or whatever.
Out loud on the train.
Yeah, but definitely make sure to bring your headphones. Don't forget them. And we have a last question from Davey Sweppole. I apologize again for mispronouncing your name. But let's cut the shit. Enough with the patty cake bullshit. Real talk. One power, speed, flight, telekinesis, or strength. Only one, and why? As always, love that all you do. Love, Mr. Davey. This is a fun one to end on, and I always love these very simple, broad questions. But I would argue that flight would be my superpower, because telekinesis is great, but I would always be very afraid of what other people would think about me. And telekinesis doesn't mean that you get rid of anxiety, right? And social anxiety. So I feel like it would just always be there, and I kind of don't need that. I enjoy. It's bad enough that people can just comment whatever their thoughts about me on the internet, including under this YouTube video or thread. So what do I need telekinesis for? You're all saying you're spewing your bullshit, what you think about it anyways, right? Strength would be cool, but I feel like it's very, very, like if it's like Superman strength, like let nothing kill you, then sure, obviously, then maybe that. But like if I'm just like Spider-Man strength or whatever, which is still pretty strong,
sure.
But I still feel like, I mean, Spider-Man can still get shot and die, but with flight, speed I don't know about, but flight, it would just be, I could just travel the world, and like my fear of flying would be over because I'm flying, like it's natural, and I'm not gonna crash,
Yeah.
It would be nice if I flew fast. It would be kind of annoying if I didn't fly that fast. And like I would like imagine if you didn't fly as fast as the airplane, and like flights would like human flight would take you like from, if I try to fly here from New York, like that's like an hour flight. But like if I flew myself, it'd be like 5 hours. Like that would suck. I would never if I try to make it to Hawaii, I'd have to have a backpack on me with food. And like I have to I guess hover over the ocean and eat over the ocean as I'm like trying to get there. And then like would I be able to take a nap as I'm flying? Like do I have to be conscious and fly at the same time? So maybe I would have to bring like a little boat or life raft, but that's so dangerous because if I want to take a nap in there. So I guess I would just have to like do a lot of cocaine or something like that, or like just really keep myself up to be able to make.
There's a lot to it.
Or I could just take the train and then just fly the rest of the way. That could be fun too. Actually, maybe the more I think about it, there's a lot of factors, but I do feel like human flight is something that I've always wanted to do. But Micah, what would your superpower be?
I would take super strength any day, but I want it on the condition that I look the same, because I think it would be awesome for this very small person to just suddenly lift a car, So like, I don't want to look like Mr. Incredible and actually like, wow, that guy's huge and he's really strong. Like what I'd want is that I just want to be abnormally strong, but still very small.
Like Spider-Man.
I think that would just be
Spider-Man's fairly scrawny, right?
Yeah.
Give me the element of surprise, and also just, I don't know, man, it would just be awesome to be able to like, oh, I can open this jar without help. Like I'm an independent lady, but I have limitations, most of those being my weak upper body strength. So I would take that one for sure. Flight is always interesting, but my fear of heights tells me like, yeah, I could just hover around town, I guess, but with my fear of heights, there's no way I'd be flying very high. So kind of what's the point? I'll take super strength, stay on the ground, I'll figure out some cool stuff to do with it, I'm sure.
See, I feel like I would get over my because I'm not like exactly like I don't love heights. I don't know if I have a fear of it, but it'd be scary, and heights is scary. But I feel like I would get used to it after a while. But with anxiety, but with telekinesis, I would never get used to hearing what people think about me. I don't think that's something that I can train away. Because I already get it, and I'm still worried about what people think about me. So I'm worried about what you all think about me hosting the show. So Dagan, how about you?
You're doing splendid, my friend. Yeah, I go right to flight just for the pure fact of fun. But you bring up a lot of things. Like it would have to be like a zero effort, no arm flapping.
Oh yeah.
Like
totally no arm flapping. Oh my god, yeah.
No,
right. It would have to be like an invisible jetpack sort of dynamic. It goes high and as fast as I want.
Yeah, if you're flying like Superman, because Superman just kind of like stands up and just like flies. Exactly, right?
Perfect. Yeah. And the heights is probably the one thing, maybe literally, that I'm not afraid of. So it works fine. I mean, as far as like just fun, yeah, that's no brainer for me.
Yeah, and if I flew, I wouldn't be flying 30,000 feet in the air like an airplane. Like they got to be high that high up in the air for a reason, right? And I was like, if I was flying, I'd just be like maybe 20 stories high, and I'd just be like 20 stories high above the ocean because it'd be cool to see the ocean,
Oh, absolutely.
Just fly over it,
You could go down and just kind of like do the X-Wing thing where you're skimming the surface of the water, with beautiful. Your chest.
Human limitation is sad, but
it really is.
We're trying our best as a race, right? That's one thing I thought about Starfield. It's like, oh man, like we're never gonna, like us people here now living today in the present are never gonna be able to travel to stars like we can in Starfield, and that makes me a little sad.
You never know. Don't give up, Gene. Don't give up.
I mean,
Elon might say otherwise.
That's what Neil deGrasse Tyson has said is his greatest like sadness or fear, is that like he'll never understand the furthest reaches of the universe, and we may never will as a human race. And I think about that a lot. Neil is kind of a dick sometimes, but like I do acknowledge that he's an interesting philosopher and thinker, and that's one thing that really got me going. Where it's like, yeah, I don't know, I don't know where humans will go, but we might never know. Anyways, on that friendly note, that's my first episode of Punching Up and LSM and an LSM podcast hosting it. So I hope you all enjoyed it. It was a nice meaty Nintendo Direct. And we'll probably have Dustin back unless he decides to just stay in Japan.
We'll see.
There's rumors that he joined the Yakuza. I'm hoping that he goes to like a host bar or a hostess bar so he can finally understand that culture.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. I'm wondering. I can't wait till he gets back. Have you guys been in contact with him? Micah, have you been in contact with him at all?
Just limited. I've texted Holly a little bit, but I've just been trying because of the time zone difference. It's like she'll send me a message and it's a weird time of day for me. Me replying to her. It's just like the time zones what's kind of messing us up. But so I've been following Dustin's photos on Twitter and Facebook and keeping in like limited contact with them. But as soon as they're back, I've got to be definitely texting Holly. Asking her all about the trip. There's so much I want to know.
I'm very excited. We miss you, Dustin. I know they make fun of you in Sacred Snippets. I was cracking up when Chris and Colin were doing impressions of Dustin going. He doesn't sound like that at all, you guys. So that's hilarious. But we miss you, Dustin, here. And I just realized that I didn't even do the spiel of welcome to Patreon. LSM podcast. We show up earlier, a couple days early on Tuesdays for Punching Up. And it shows up on free feeds on Friday. So please support us. Leave us a review. Leave a like and comment. And subscribe. And thanks so much for hanging out. That's all I got to say. Micah, well, anything to add to sign off?
Yeah, you know what? I'll just remember to mention the merch, laststandmedia.store. We added some new t-shirts this season, new stickers as well. So be sure to check those out. And we appreciate, of course, your support, at the merch store and over on Patreon, patreon.com/laststandmedia. we couldn't do any of this without the listeners. So we so much appreciate everything that you guys do to support us. And your support also comes through in your write-ins, which are part of what make the show unique, special. Our community is what makes our show, so fun. So these write-ins that we get are a very valued part of that. And that's over on Patreon. That's one of the perks of being over there, is being part of the show, which again just makes our content so much better, in my opinion.
Yeah, shout out to everyone who wrote in. Like you guys are you guys out there are such great like topic creators. Great conversationalists, and that's how I know that this is a great community. That you guys are able to talk well. You guys are able to bring up really, really interesting conversations. And I'm personally proud of being part of Last Stand Media. I can't believe that it's just the biggest video game podcast on all over Patreon. That's incredible.
Really is.
And it's thanks to you guys, and thanks to everyone here at LSM too for their hard work. So, Dagan, anything to add?
Oh, it was so fun. Thank you for doing this. Gene, you did an awesome job. Community, yeah, you guys make the content so rich with your feedback. You play a big part. You're a bunch of show-offs. Stop showing off so much. What do you want? Take my job? I understand. I'm watching you. But I appreciate it. It was super good. It was a good time. And Gene, you did awesome. We do miss Dustin. It'll be back to normal in a couple of weeks. Don't worry. Right? Maybe it'll be my turn to go to Japan. When's it my turn to have fun? Does anybody? I'm not going to turn this into. Listen, let's go out on a positive note.
Yeah,
you just came back from
the three
camping.
of us go to Japan.
Yeah, we should.
Dustin by himself.
Dustin, you just run the show by himself. Him and his short hair now.
I noticed that.
It was good, but it really really accentuates the shape of his head, which is interesting. Dustin, we love you. Can't wait to see you back. And we love you all out there. Thanks so much for listening to Punch You Up and Last Stand Media Podcast, patreon.com/Last Stand Media. Thanks so much for making it all the way here. Thanks so much for your comments. And we'll see you next time. Take care, guys. Bye.
Peace.
Punching Up, a Nintendo podcast, is a product of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand, LLC, and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show is written and produced by me, Dustin Furman. My co-hosts are Gene Park, Dagan Moriarty, and Micah Watson. The show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. Punching Up, along with the rest of Last Stand Media shows, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest tier, and we're grateful for your kind contributions and generosity to our independent endeavor. Thank you.